We're ready to hear our presentations today. Before we get started, we're about to have a roll call in just a few minutes, so I'll ask Mr. McMillan to have that roll call momentarily. Our court reporter today is Ms. Lisa Bailey. I also like to thank Mr. Jason Decker back in the back. He's been recording and live streaming these presentations all of last week, and we'll be doing the same thing this week. So any of our commission members that don't have the opportunity to see this live right now, that can go online and see it, thanks to Jason. He's making that available for our commission members that are somewhat out of pocket today and possibly for another day or two. But Jason, thank you for your help today. We appreciate the work you've done for us. Anything else, Brittany? Okay, Mr. McMillan, have the roll call, please.
Chairman Vaughn.
Here.
Dr. Zaleski. Dr. Blakemore.
Present.
Mr. Gamble. Dr. Martin. Dr. Jensen.
Here.
Ms. Skelton. Judge Price.
He is here. He is here.
Ms. Hatchett. Mr. Harwell.
Here.
Dr. Saflarsky. Dr. Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Robinson.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Dwight Gamble is, I don't know, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir, Dwight. We do have you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
We've got you. Thank you for getting online with us. And I think the only one we were questioning was Dr. Zaflarsky, and he may come in later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank all of you. As I mentioned, we've had, I know one of our commissioners had an emergency legal issue came up this week, so she'll join us whenever she can. But we'll move ahead with our presentations today. We have several, I think about 8. Is that right, Brittany? Close to it. Maybe we have one that may have withdrawn. But we'll start off this morning with Southeast Cannabis Company, and so an LLC, applicant number 1612. Before we get going, I'm going to just take a minute to make a few comments. Today we will begin the task of hearing from our integrated facility presenters, and I do want to cover a few items before we get started with these presentations. We'll keep the time in display. Ms. Peters will put that in front of you. I think it's a 45-minute window for most of our presenters, so the timer will be in front of you up here on the counter. So keep track of your time remaining as you're going through the presentation. Presenters who provided a PowerPoint presentation, use the clicker, I think it's on the podium there, to forward your slides or video. So it'll be available on the podium to move slides and video at your pleasure. Commission members will have an opportunity to ask questions, and as needed, we'll allow for additional time for questions after the presentation, even if it goes past the 45 minutes. The materials for each applicant, including their full application, written briefs, videos, and presentations, have been provided to each of our commissioners in advance of today's meeting. As a reminder, you have received all materials for all applicants, regardless of whether the applicant requested to make a presentation today or any subsequent day. All applicants are subject to be considered for an award of a license. Also included in your materials today that Ms. Peters and Daniel and Justin have passed out is a summary sheet for each applicant, which includes information regarding the proposed facilities, the ownership status, and any pass-fail notations, and I'll ask Justin to make mention of that before we hear from each presenter. These summary sheets also include the requirements of applicants as provided for in the statute and the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission rules. Any commission member have a question before we start? Well, all right. Okay, Justin, if you want to make a few comments about our first presenter today, Southeast Cannabis Company.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is applicant number 1612, Southeast Cannabis Company, LLC. You do have their full application and the applicant's summary. The applicant provided a written brief, and you have that in your materials, and there were no pass-fail items noted on the application.
Thank you, Justin. So, Mr. Washington, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, I'll let you please introduce any other presenters that are here with you if y'all do that kind of thing. But I'm going to put that on you to make sure that our court reporter can hear the names of each one.
Yes, I'll announce that in my presentation.
All right, thank you, sir.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Director, and Commissioners, for the opportunity to meet here today and present our company, Southeast Cannabis Company, LLC. For those who don't know me, my name is Oliver Washington IV. Okay. I know a few of you know me, but for those who don't, my family business has started a growing operation that's been in business for over 50 years. For over 50 years. I'm a fourth generation Alabama citizen. I'm a third generation Alabama farmer. Many of you who know the story of Shore Acres was started out of the back of a truck by my grandfather, Oliver Washington Jr. This business was started in 1945 and has been in existence till today. I'd like to show you a picture of what we talk about here today and how this business began from a small back of a truck business. My grandfather there, near the truck there, learned how to propagate azaleas in his backyard. He then took those azaleas and put those in coffee cans and went to the property that we own today and sold those out of the back of his truck. We were near a horticultural attraction out there in Theodora, Alabama, and as those people came out of Bellingraph Gardens, they stopped by this side of the road stand and bought these azaleas from my grandfather. He then took those, raised enough funds to be able to put that side of the road stand there, and he continued to run that business until his death. As people he met in his life up and down that road, his humble beginnings began, and he started that business. As you see, there's a picture of 4 generations of Washingtons there. That little person is me in that picture. This was 1975 on Hannon Road in Mobile, Alabama. It's Oliver Washington Sr., Jr., 3rd, and the 4th right there. My father, the guy in the middle, took that love of plants that he got from his grandfather working on weekends and afternoons, and he took that love to a university, Alabama A&M, here in Normal, Alabama. Got a degree in horticulture, earned his master's as well after he left Alabama A&M and went to the University of Florida. He came back to Mobile and worked as an extension specialist at the Auburn Experimental Station in Mobile, Alabama. He then got the plant bug and decided he wanted to help his father, and he came back and he started Shore Acres Plant Farm. I was his apprentice the majority of my life, oldest son, only son, didn't have much choice, but I love what I do, and I'm here today to talk about my legacy. Since his passing, I have ran Shore Acres Plant Farm to the day, and we cover almost 300 miles away from Mobile, servicing not only Alabama, but other states in the Gulf Coast. This is a tremendous legacy that I couldn't tell you in the 45 minutes allotted, but I would like to show you what I do here. Here's a video. As you see, this is the acreage that we currently have. It is a fully functional greenhouse operation. We also grow from seed, propagate from stem cuttings. We also are in charge of our own logistics of delivering our product. This is of all the experience I have as growing plants, We grow for over 12 months, continuously, year after year after year. Some of the seasonal plants that you see in landscapes come from Shore Acres Plant Farm. So I wanted you to look at this video and just to see some of the amazing plants that we grow there. Right now is poinsettia season, and it is the seasonal plant for this time of year, but beautiful what we grow there. As I come to here talking about Southeast Cannabis Company, I want to introduce a lot of my business partners. I am the 51% majority owner of Southeast Cannabis Company. To my left here, we have Chuck Smith, George and Mary Ross, and we also have Mrs. Dr. Gretchen Dunlop, a pharmacist that will be helping us with this to dispense our certification of medicinal cannabis in our dispensaries. I'm honored to be awarded the Integrated Facility License twice by this commission and hope that after our presentation today, you will honor us once again for a third time. Thank you for your time and opportunity. And now let me introduce George and Mary Ross.
Good morning. Thank y'all for giving us a minute this morning. We appreciate the opportunity to present the team. Oliver is the plant master from Mobile. Mary Ross and I, my wife and I, we're both lifelong Mobile residents. I graduated from Spring Hill College. She graduated from the university. We had a few incidents in our lives that brought interest into this industry. Mary Ross and I both, between us, have almost 40 years of pharmaceutical and medical sales experience between the two of us. We've got 5 children, and through a few things in our life, we became passionate about medical cannabis. One, I had to witness my dad suffer through a long bout of cancer. For about 10 years, he fought it. And this, I discussed medical cannabis with my dad at that time, but the stigma, his generation, he wanted nothing to do with it. And I just knew there had to be a better option for patients who were suffering like this. And being in pharmaceuticals, it was just something that naturally, made my interest go. And I started researching, and we both did. And then after the passing of my father, we found out that one of our twin daughters, we have 5 children, 2 sets of twins, one of our twin daughters was facing a possible seizure disorder. She was diagnosed as a seizure disorder. She fortunately has outgrown it, but we were looking at taking some pretty harsh medications for the rest of her life at one time. And then I researched that, and I began to find out that cannabis was, taking kids with 60 seizures a day and making them have 0. And we had a trip scheduled for Colorado at that same time, and so this was before Alabama even had a law. We thought, well, we've got to get involved with this somehow. I mean, what other medicine we bring good medical treatments to patients in need for our whole lives, and we thought, with seizures, pain, appetite, all these things we saw that cannabis offered patients. So this just drove us to realize that we wanted to be a part of this. And Andre Reed there, sitting there, he and my dad were very close, and he and Oliver's dad were very close. And I told Andre that I had been out to Colorado and met some experts out there researching, trying to find out some medicine for my children. And through my research, I met Chuck Smith here, and Chuck is to medical cannabis what Oliver is to plants in Mobile. Chuck's that guy in Denver, and we formed that relationship with Chuck, and we brought Chuck in, and we went down and we talked to Oliver. We realized everybody in the state was wanting Oliver on their team, but we knew that we could support Oliver and bring, a complete team to him. With this integrated license, we not only have to grow good medical grade cannabis, but we got to be able to manufacture these products, and we got to be able to dispense them too, and get doctors and everybody involved in it in the process. So we knew that we could bring that supporting team and lift Oliver up and really let him have his full potential and grow in the plant. And so, you know, I'd like to introduce y'all to Chuck. He is an Alabama guy. Chuck has a business in Foley, Alabama to this day. He lived in Alabama for years, most of his life, but during the Green Rush, he moved out to Colorado and became involved. And like I said, he is the manufacturing expert in Colorado. And everybody I went out and met out there said, oh, you got to meet Chuck Smith. He's an Alabama guy, and he's been making this stuff since day one. And so I went and met Chuck. Chuck, you come up here and talk about yourself, but Chuck and I went down and we talked to Oliver, and we just, you know, we all decided that we would make the complete perfect team. So I'll introduce Chuck to y'all and get out of here.
Thanks, George. I could probably save time because George just gave my presentation for me. Chairman, Director, Commissioners, again, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak to you today and tell you about Southeast Cannabis Company. I guess if you've heard the background of the other two, I guess I'm the weed guy in the room, but I'm really also an Alabama person. So I hope you can see that after the couple minutes that I'm going to speak to you, as well as the bullets on the slide. I moved to Alabama 16 years ago to get involved in some real estate development projects. I ultimately built, operated, and still own the Bellaterra RV Resort in Foley, Alabama. It's just south of the Owa Amusement Park, for any of you, of you that aren't familiar with it. I lived in Orange Beach, and then after I married my wife, moved to Fairhope. Now, there's a bullet up there that I didn't put because I thought it'd be kind of weird, but I met my wife at the Floribama. And it wasn't mullet toss weekend either. I was blessed with two great stepdaughters, one of which, Madeline, enrolled and went to University of Alabama. Brenda and I moved up there part-time to spend that time with her, as well as go to football games and meet some great friends that have been lasting friends forever, including when we all met up in Atlanta to watch Alabama win that game against Georgia, Roll Tide. But I did move to Denver, Colorado to participate in the cannabis industry. I invested in a company and then ultimately took that company over and built it to what it is today. I will talk about the company a little bit later in my presentation. But suffice it to say that I have dedicated 10 years of my life in the cannabis industry to understanding how to make manufactured cannabis products for medical patients. Every single product format that you've approved, every single qualifying condition this commission has built this program on, I have been with the team of people that worked with me, formulated and manufactured and delivered that product to hundreds of thousands of patients across the country. But I'd like to go back to what I started this with, which is Bellaterra. I'm going to show it to you because I'm darn proud of it. And what I want you to know is when I built this project, I took it out of the ground, and some of the people that helped me build it still work for me today, 16 years later. Some of the very first people that bought lots in the resort, when it was just a trailer on the side of the road with a sign that said "Coming Soon," are still owners in the project today, and I consider them friends. Hopefully that there tells you something about me as a person. This project has been really a love of my life. It stood this test of time. I built it exactly when the mortgage crisis hit and the financial crisis, banking crisis was upon us, but we persevered. We've had a few hurricanes come up the way and bad storms, but we persevered. BP oil spill almost took us to our knees because all of our customers could just drive by and didn't have to stop at our beaches. But we persevered. And I still own and operate this business today, and it brings me back to Alabama every single month working with my team, and nothing will make me happier than to work with these folks here to build Southeast Cannabis Company and return to Alabama as my home. Thank you very much. Let me introduce to you now Jeremy Schechter and Oliver again, who are going to talk to you about our operations and cultivation business.
My name is Jeremy Schechter, the only non-Alabamian here on the team. I'm with Bickle Consulting, and we were brought in to work with Chuck and George and Oliver to bring the cannabis cultivation side of things to the fold. My background is I come from Ohio, and Ohio has one of the largest medical markets in the entire country. And I was there from the very beginning. I was a part of 2 applications out there and ended up starting what is currently the largest producing medical cannabis facility in the state. So have a really good understanding of what it's like to really start a new cannabis business in a medical market and everything that comes with it. I was there for 5 years and now do consulting all around the country, helping other people write applications for their facilities, run their cultivation facilities, bring good design to their facilities, and so forth. I've worked in over 15 states. My company, Bickle Consulting, has been in every single legal state, every medical state, helping people just like Oliver all over the country. And one of the big benefits of bringing that to this team is we have seen a lot of the different kinds of mistakes that new operators can make, and we know how to avoid them. Mistakes in business planning, facility design, growing practices, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen it all so that Oliver doesn't have to. And we think that is going to be a big value to this team. And at the end of the day, the first time I met Oliver in person was at the Cultivate trade show up in Columbus, Ohio, which is one of the biggest horticulture events in the country. And I thought that I've been in horticulture for over 10 years, and I thought that I knew the people and I knew everybody and had a good sense of things. But when I started talking to him, and he was teaching me all kinds of things that I didn't know about conventional horticulture and floriculture and stuff like that, I knew that this was the right guy. And basically, our goal is, as Bickle Consulting and myself, is not to come to Alabama and move here and be the grower. What we want to do, Oliver is, like somebody said earlier, is the plant guy. He is the horticulture master. He knows all of this stuff. What we want to do is teach him the nuances and work with him on cannabis-specific stuff, CGMP, run indoor facilities, and basically hone his skills so he can handle this market with us. So probably the biggest challenge that we had for this application and for this project is the first 60 days, being able to commence operation in 60 days. We worked as a group over many different potential solutions to make that happen. And what we ended up thinking is going to be the best route forward is to actually bring in prefabricated cannabis growth chambers onto the facility, so that we can basically get started growing as soon as possible. We have the timeline displayed here, which shows kind of generally how it's going to work. So we, as soon as we get our inspection, get the go-ahead to grow plants, we can be starting seeds the very next day. We have the grow pods, we have the bill of sale, we're ready to go. We've got the site all prepped. It's just a matter of getting, we have a plan for utilities and contractor already lined up. And we have the kind of small temporary complex planned. We would bring in the grow pods, again, immediately, while finishing out the design and starting the construction on the full facility that we have planned. So if you look at the timeline, we have two growing chambers, one for the veg plants where we would start seeds and grow out the immature veg plants, and then the second pod, the flowering pod, which of course has a different lighting schedule to flower the plants. And I'll let Oliver talk about why this is actually a positive to start small before moving to the full facility.
Thank you, Jeremy. In my efforts to expand the current business and start Southeastern Cannabis Company, we understand that the market is beginning. We want to start small, and we show this timeline here to show what our 60-day timeline should be with these growth chambers. You know, we expect our first harvest to be in April of 2024. The production summary from those growth chambers, as you see in the first 4 harvests there, on what type of biomass we will have ready to be able to produce the products that this commission deems as what we can provide. And it shows the dollar amount, the quantity amounts of each one based on that biomass from those growth chambers. In the efforts to bring Jeremy on board, in my previous history of growing hemp in this state for 3 years, I learned very fast cultivating wasn't the only idea to make this. You needed a whole supply chain. My efforts to be an integrated facility was to be able to do a seed-to-sale production facility away from Shore Acres Plant Farm. We want to have a market where we can grow with it and we can adjust to the demands of the market. Of course, our facility will be, we'll have almost double or triple the capacity by the time the facility is completed. So here you'll see our stable foundation when we bring those growth chambers in, and I will let Jeremy finish off with that.
So for this presentation today, we really wanted to focus on, how, why we can get growing immediately once we're awarded a license. This is actually a picture. I'm in the kind of the right-hand corner in the t-shirt and much longer hair than I do now. These growth chambers are rather common and ubiquitous, specifically for markets where you need a quick speed-to-market approach, which is extremely common in medical states. And so I've personally grown in these growth chambers, many harvests, the exact kind that we have on site. So we bring all the experience, the know-how. There's no questions, there's no guesses. We know exactly what to do to bring product to market as soon as possible. And one thing that we wanted to say about the 60 days is we interpreted that as the ability to begin cultivating, meaning starting seeds and starting the process. Cannabis has basically a 14-15 week cycle before a harvest. You can change that depending on your practices, but what you can't change is the 9 weeks of flower that are required. Really anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks, but most production cultivars for cannabis are dead on 9 weeks. It's what we set our processes on. So, roughly 63 days is the minimum to a harvest, which is why we expect the harvest schedule that you saw in the last slide. Now, the main facility, of course, that's the more exciting thing to talk about here. We have planned a very state-of-the-art, cutting-edge facility. My company, we've worked in all of the southern legal states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Georgia, and we're very familiar with the climate. in the growing conditions. You have seasonal variations even in indoor growing. And so we've used a lot of equipment in this part of the world, and we know what works very, very well for indoor growing. We've got an amazing design team behind us with Anderson Porter Design. Our engineer is a world-class engineer who's focuses on cannabis. We work with the top vendors in the market. We've worked with just about every vendor, and we have handpicked the specific ones that we think would be best for Oliver and the team, and we are very excited. Lots of very specific custom design for this facility based around what we anticipate the market to be like. In addition to that, I think what takes us one step farther is myself and our architect and Chuck and his team are very comfortable with and familiar with the FDA's CGMP standards, and making a very clean and biosecure and overall secure facility to make sure that we don't have pests that are going to infiltrate our crops, to make sure that we don't have people that are going to infiltrate our facility. We take all of that very seriously, and we also have having designed and built and run many facilities, we have a really good eye for flow to make sure that the facility is run properly. So this is just a little video giving a little bit more look into what the grow pods actually look like. So they are, again, prefabricated growth chambers where we can grow from seed all the way to finished flower within these two growth chambers. In addition to this, we don't have a schematic of it, but what we have planned and what we've worked on with the architects is, call it a mini campus that we can very quickly assemble, which includes 2 trailers, one, so that we can make sure we're hitting all the requirements for security, biosecurity, and CGMP, which would have your bathroom, break room, security office that's monitoring all the security cameras with a security officer on site. The scrub changing facility in one, and then in the other one is really the post-harvest, where you have the drying and the production, extraction, manufacturing, packaging all in there. So we, aside from our full facility, we will have everything that the full facility will have. Again, that'll be ready to go as soon as we get our inspection done in hopefully January. And I'm gonna give it back to Chuck to talk about the production side of things. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Thanks, guys. I want to go back just for a second because there's a lot that was thrown at you in a short period of time. So I just want to reiterate, the grow pods have been purchased, the facility foundation has been put in place, the utilities have been pulled to the site. As soon as we are awarded a license and issued a license, hopefully we'll be awarded a license next week, and issued a license according to your time frame in January. Providing you have approved the strains that we want to grow and the inspections are done by the regulators, we will be able to plant seeds that very day. We will be in business cultivating well within the 60 days. And because the Lord himself determines how fast cannabis plants grow, we will grow them and produce product and have them on the shelf within several months, as fast as that plant can grow and be harvested. Anyone that tells you that those plants can be grown faster than 9 weeks is not telling you the true story. So we expect, as our timeline indicated, to have product on our dispensary shelves by May, the latest June, assuming that that license is officially issued and we can get into business in January. Now, one other thing that I want to make sure you're aware of, We have 4 harvests that we've projected to come out of those growing chambers. 20 pounds of finished flower a piece that will then turn into oil. If you'll look back at another time at the presentation, you'll see the number of units that is going to produce. The gelatinous cube, AKA gummy, is going to most likely be the most popular format for patients initially, because it's something they're very familiar with. Those 20 pounds every quarter will produce about 12,000 units. That's more than enough to service the initial launch of this program within our dispensaries. So we're more than comfortable. We will have plenty of product on shelf for patients, even using the interim growing chambers before we get to the full facility later in the year. Now, cultivation is just one part of it. The patient actually doesn't have interaction with the plant itself. That's just the input to get to the products. And I made a statement before, and I'll make it again. I hope I don't make it sound too boastful. I don't believe there's anybody that has applied for a license that has more direct and specific experience in manufacturing finished medical cannabis products than me that's applied in this state. I've dedicated 10 years of my life to it. That is exactly and only what we focused on. The team of people that I worked with, including Jay Dennison, who will be our Chief Science Officer, are some of the most renowned product formulators in the industry. They're food scientists, biochemists. They've been working with this plant and the cannabinoid that comes from the plant for years and years. And these products, and again, every product that we've talked about, we have made and we have distributed through my prior company to hundreds of thousands of patients over a period of 8 to 10 years. When I founded the company, it was just in Colorado. I then worked with the team to expand the company. I was the CEO of the company, Bell Rock, until about 2 years ago. I stepped down as CEO, frankly, because I was just tired of being a CEO and managing 300 and some people in the cannabis industry. But I also wanted to pursue other ventures. And one of those ventures, very fortunately, came to meet George and then Oliver and become partners with them to bring that expertise here to Alabama to be able to open up a medical cannabis program with you called Southeast Cannabis Company. But And I will say that the products and the experience that I've had have stood the test of time in 10 states. I've worked very closely with regulators, with law enforcement, with commissioners like yourselves to make sure that these products are safe, effective, and are fully compliant with the rules and regulations you have in place. But just to stack the deck a little bit more, I entered into an exclusive license agreement on behalf of Southeast Cannabis Company with Mary's Medicinals. Mary's Medicinals is the #1 product portfolio of medical cannabis products in the country. Southeast Cannabis Company owns the exclusive rights to manufacture and distribute those products in the state of Alabama. Again, every single form factor that you've already approved has been out in the market and sold to hundreds of thousands of patients. So that does 3 things. Number 1, it's speed to market. So again, the plan is one thing, but if we can now come to the market with products that are tried, true, tested, already understood how the packaging and the labeling requirements, already understood how the ingredients work, we have to have an advantage of bringing these products to patients quicker. I brought some for you to look at. They're all blanks. There's no THC in these packages. If you don't mind, I'd love to just bring them up and show them to you. Compounds and tinctures, transdermal patches. All of these products are child-resistant packaging. All have passed the regulatory requirements for every state that they're marketed in. And there will be a few tweaks I'm sure we'll work on in terms of labeling and packaging requirements here in Alabama, but those are very simple and easy to do. And the team has done that over and over again in every market that we've entered into. So speed to market was one advantage. The other advantage, frankly, is the safety and confidence of the patients. There's a lot of patients, and certainly physicians and pharmacists, that really don't have a great relationship with cannabis. They haven't worked with it before. They haven't spent a lot of time, certainly medical cannabis in Alabama. For them to have a product set like Mary's Medicinals, which they know is tried and true and effective and has been used by many, many patients across the country, that's going to elevate a level of confidence by patients and the prescribers in this program. And that's something that we really want to do, because that'll help the uptake of folks joining this program through physicians if they know they have products that they can count on. So the third leg of the stool is going to be the patients. So I'd like to introduce Mary Ross, because we've talked about how we'll be in cultivation in a day, and we can be in production with products on shelves in several months. We've talked about the quality of products that are immediately available to the state once we have a license. The third part is, how do we take care of our patients to make sure that they're getting the best treatment as possible? Mary Ross?
Thank you. Hey guys, I'm Mary Ross, George's wife, and you've heard these guys walk you through the cultivation process and product development, but this is really about the patient. And one of our main goals is for our patients to leave our dispensary feeling comfortable, confident, and well-informed about the medical cannabis products they purchase. Sadly, Carla White could not be here today, but we have Gretchen in her place. But Carla White is a pharmacist and SEC's Director of Dispensing. Carla White, in coordination with our Medical Advisory Board, will oversee the development of patient education training for certified dispensers and employees, as well as the creation of patient education materials and resources. Dr. White's 28-year career as a community pharmacist in the Demopolis, Alabama area has given her unique insight into how to developing meaningful relationships with patients and provide excellent education regarding their medical treatment. She will oversee all dispensing sites, employees across our 5 locations, and every dispensing site will have a pharmacist in it. But prior to commencing operations at our dispensary sites, our certified dispensers will complete and pass the required Medical Cannabis Foundations training. A significant portion of the training will be related to patient education and consultation best practices to ensure our certified dispensers are adequately prepared to respond to all types of patient and caregiver questions. Now, I'm not going to read this whole slide, but our program is comprehensive, and our goal is to ensure the best possible outcome for our patients. Now, I'm sure that you are going to see many great teams over the next few days, but how many of them are truly homegrown? Our SEC Medical Advisory Board consists of Dr. Curtis Graff, who is a certified ophthalmologist, and he specializes in glaucoma. Now, these glaucoma patients experience intraocular pressure, and Dr. Graff says, and I quote, "It is a medical fact that cannabis relieves intraocular pressure." And he was also voted Best Eye Doctor in Mobile in 2020 and 2022. Then we have Dr. Daniel Spriggs, who practices in South Baldwin County, and his rural geriatric practice focuses on the care of an aging population. Many of his patients suffer with multiple chronic illnesses involving specialists, hospitals, home health, hospice, and palliative care, and many of his patients are going to be able to benefit from medical cannabis. And then we also have Dr. Max Rogers, who is a Marine Corps fighter pilot turned to OBGYN, who now practices in Grove Hill. He is highly regarded in all manners of women's health. And then, of course, as introduced to you earlier, we have the wonderful Gretchen Dunlap, who is a PharmD with extensive knowledge and experience in compounding, opioid treatment programs, and retail pharmacy. She currently lives in Fairhope and practices at the Fairhope Pharmacy. But what does this experience look like for the patient? After a certified physician prescribes medical cannabis to a patient, the patient will head to the dispensary to fill their prescription. Each dispensary will have a clinical yet welcoming feel. The patient will walk through the front door and immediately check in with their driver's license and medical prescription, and after check-in, they will be directed to a nice waiting room. We will have a pharmacist on staff at every dispensary, and each patient will have an opportunity to meet with the pharmacist in the consultation room, where the pharmacist can review comprehensive instructions for product use and answer any questions the patient may have. After consultation, the patient will be able to move through areas where they can see the product on display. I would like to note that all displays will be fully secure and can only be accessed by SCC personnel. After the patient receives their medication, they will be escorted to checkout, and voila. All dispensing sites will be fully equipped with 24-hour surveillance and security that meets or exceeds the standards that have been outlined by the Commission. And furthermore, SCC has received written confirmation from all relevant city and zoning departments confirming adequate placement of facilities. As you can see, safety, security, and patient comfort is of utmost importance to SCC. We want patients to walk through our front doors feeling safe and welcomed and leave feeling informed and confident. Thank you. Here you go, Chuck.
Okay, we've got 4 minutes left. We're going to wrap this up because we know that you have questions. We want to make sure we have enough time for questions. Oliver and I debated on who was going to close, and we made a decision, maybe I made the decision, that I was going to close because Oliver won't brag on himself, and I want to brag on Oliver. I've been privileged to know him and George now for over 2 years, and you know, one of the things I value about people is if you're in a fight and you're in a foxhole, you all want to exit in an orderly fashion, not climb over each other's bodies to get out. And we've been fighting in a foxhole. I know you all have been too. This has been pretty tough. Been tougher than anything that I've experienced. But I like the rigor of the program that you put in place. We've publicly stated it and lauded the Commission, frankly, for the type of program, the type of evaluation criteria put in place. I know we're not allowed to talk about the scores, but the cream does rise to the top. And you put a program in place that showed who that cream was. What's upsetting is that people still try and tear it down. You know, Oliver's right here. He's known to all of you. You know, we've been hearing a lot of stories. People have been coming to us talking about dirt, telling us that Oliver's a shill. He's pretty much the most transparent shill I've ever seen. He was on the cover of the Politico article talking nice about this process. He's been interviewed on radio and TV. He's not hiding. He's never hidden once. We've also been told that as soon as we win the license, we're going to sell it. Well, that's just ridiculous because you all have to give us the approval to do that. And this project is going to be on Oliver's land. So I guess he's going to sell the land that's been in his family for 75 years. The worst thing is the hit piece that came out yesterday suggested that because we redacted our license, Oliver might not even be a minority. I kind of think the reporter could have Googled Oliver Washington IV, but here he is, Oliver, fully unredacted. We have a lot of people you're going to see after us. I hope you remember us. We've won twice. We'd be honored if we could win again for the third time and get to work bringing medicine to the patients of Alabama in January. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chuck. And I would like to conclude just in this process of starting this, I want to make 3 points. What I wanted to see in a company, a cannabis company here in Alabama, was a compliance operation facility creating good quality medicine for the patients of Alabama. It's something that I do in the steps of being in a nursery business. all the years that I've been at Shore Acres Plant Farm and still there, the 60 days is not a fear to us. We can get it done, and we can get it done safely and in compliance. The nursery itself is 25 miles north of Dauphin Island, Alabama. If you don't know where that is, it's the Gulf of Mexico. Each hurricane season, I have to watch, prepare, get ready for any challenges that come during that season. I have to build an operation back. If we take a direct hit or even half a hit, that facility's got to be up and going within 2 weeks, and we do it consistently. It is a military campaign. So we want to take that same approach and diligence into the Southeastern Cannabis Company. So thank you, Commission. Thank you for awarding me twice, and we'll do our best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. We appreciate you and your team showing up today and making the presentation. You've done an excellent job. I'll ask any of our commission members, would you have a question from Mr. Washington or any other of his team?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Harwell.
Oliver, great presentation. You got a great team together. Just one question. You have a great background in growing and horticulture. What is your greatest challenge switching over to cannabis?
The greatest challenge I see, what I do every day, we grow over 200 species of plant material. The soils that we grow in, I will not use for growing cannabis. One, because the challenges is we want to create quality product. We don't know what metals will be in the type of soil that we use, but our cannabis will be grown in a different type of soil media. The challenge that I see also is just in the, getting through this compliance is what I see mostly. It's nothing that you just step into. And this wasn't an overnight decision for me. I've been in this process for over 8 years, learning, going to conventions, listening to other states, growers in other states that I have connections with in my network of being in horticulture my whole life. It's one thing about being able to be raised, grown, and own the company that you're with. It's the journey. It's the journey. That network, which led me to feel comfortable with, with my business partners, and like I said, deliver this quality product to Alabama patients.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Any other commission member have a question? Dr. Jensen, go ahead.
Yeah, this may be for the commission, but when I'm looking at the ownership, it adds up to 52, I believe, or 51, 101, I should say. And that obviously doesn't add up.
You want to address that, Chuck?
Sure. I don't know if there's a Scrivener's error there or not, but Oliver owns 51% of the company. George and Mary Ross and I, so collectively those two and myself, each own the other 49%. So that should be 24.5% for each of us.
Oh, maybe I'm just doing.
And 51% for Oliver. Does that equal 100, sir?
Yeah, we have.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'm doing my math wrong. Sorry.
You're just trying to trick me, aren't you?
Yeah.
I know how to do math.
Thank you, Chuck. I've got a question right quick. On your dispensary, Ms. Ross, you may want to address, I think you kind of hit on the dispensaries earlier. I was looking, I think are y'all looking at buildings that are already standing and building out those facilities? Can you address that? The time frame is pretty amazing to me that you could build one from scratch quickly.
Well, as you know, not all, we don't want to deviate from our original written plan. We do have some locations that are existing, standing. Our Mobile location, which we've been paying rent on for over a year now, it's just a pretty light renovation to get up to speed. But we do have other sites that, we could build a ground-up facility. And that will take a while, but we've got great contractors that are friends and closely related to the, helping us with the process, and they assure us that they can get it going as fast as anybody else can.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I was wondering about the time frame, and that adds up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so along the same lines, you have 203 days to commence in the dispensaries.
Yes, sir.
still the plan?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah. If you look at the time frame, what we were looking at is the time to start the cultivation, the growing time, then the producing of products. And to have 203 days is basically what, 7 months or a little less, 6 months. So we certainly can have the facilities that are just renovation facilities. We can have them up and running within that time frame, a 6-month turn from, call it January to June, which is when we said we would have our product on shelf. Very reasonable, very doable in those. Now, in all candor, we may not open all 5 dispensaries day one. I mean, this market is slow. It's going to be slow to start. You know, I heard that we only have 1 testing facility right now that's been certified. That's going to be a huge bottleneck, and I have a lot of experience in that in other markets. So it'd be prudent for us to make sure that we're directing our resources in an area that we know we can get product to the patients as quickly and as effectively as possible and not spread ourselves too thin, Commissioner.
Mm-hmm. So just so I can make sure I've got the time frame right, it takes about 15 weeks to do the grow phase, you said? I mean, the initial seed before you move it to flower.
Yeah, just to be really clear on that, to get a little bit into the specifics, it's about 2 weeks, kind of in the nursery phase from seed to when we would transplant it, anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks for the vegetative phase. So total together about 6 weeks before we move it to flower.
And then that's 9 weeks.
And then 9 weeks in flower.
So basically almost 4 months to get a biomass, I guess.
Yeah, and our first one will be a little shorter because we're going to do a little bit of a shorter veg.
Okay, and then what do you anticipate it take to process some of that biomass to the final product?
So it's got to be harvested, dried, tested, stored, processed, manufactured, and packaged, and tested. So a lot of it does depend on the testing timeline,
right?
And when we get that back, but the actual processes are pretty quick, and I think in our timeline, 2-3 weeks after.
Yes, again, partly because of our experience, partly because of the Mary's Medicinals portfolio we're going to leverage. We don't have to create anything from scratch. Again, we've got to make sure we're compliant with the Commission's rules and regulations on packaging. But the manufacturing time, once the product is turned to oil and been fully tested to your standards, we can turn product in a couple weeks at the most. Now, that's probably going to have to be tested again, too. So just you all keep in mind that you have testing steps along the way that's going to elongate this process. I don't want you to have the wrong expectation because you just don't naturally think about all these incremental steps, but the testing steps are at least 3, if not 4, I believe, so.
Right, and then based on your experience, how long does it usually take to get test results back?
If the testing lab is up and running, I mean, today in most states, we have great relationships with those. We'll have a great relationship with the testing lab here. We'll start that outreach now, but if they're set up, they can turn it within a couple days.
Okay.
Now, initially, there's going to probably be a pretty good backlog. So it could be a little bit longer than that, but typically those tests can be a couple days. What we also plan to do, by the way, is have our own HPLC testing machine in line, so that way we can test our product before we ever send it out to the lab. We know what the potency will be. We'll know if there's any issues with the product or the flower. So it cuts down on our time, even though it's an expensive piece of equipment. It cuts down on any problems that may occur at the lab where it's rejected and we got to start over again.
And so you said you'd be able to produce 12,000 units, I believe, initially, and a unit is what, a month's supply?
A unit would be, we allocated, in this case, a unit would be 100 milligrams of that gummy product. So it could be 1 piece at 10 milligrams, it could be 2 pieces at 5 milligrams, but whatever adds up to a package of 100. We also had specific, and it's in the chart, specific percentages of milligrams for the tinctures and for the capsules or pills for the topicals and balms. So all of that is just, Commissioner, it's just math. You know, how much oil did we get? What do we think the demand's going to be? So we just forecasted the demand based on our pro forma and how we forecasted demand of these different form factors from other markets. We just applied that here and said it'd be fairly similar, and that's what we allocated. Now, as we see the market and we see the market demand, we can adjust that very quickly and either have more cubes or less cubes, more creams, less creams, more patches. I happen to think the patches are going to be very popular because they're time action, you know, low dose, longer lasting, and a lot of therapeutic benefits based on some of the other ingredients that you would put into those patches.
And also, initially, you said you were going to have these temporary facilities for processing and whatnot. How long until you think the full facility will be ready?
Go ahead.
So we estimate, again, based on other markets, and, you know, we're building this facility from scratch, but we've already got a lot of the pre-site work done. And we are already well into the design phase. So we anticipate being done in about 6 to 8 months once we start construction. That being said, depending on the market, we have some other levers to pull to get product to market faster if we need it. Our team is very comfortable with working with contractors to get TCO, or temporary certificate of occupancy, to load a portion of the facility before construction is complete and we have a full CO, so that we can actually get a head start, you know, 1, 2, 3 rounds ahead, while also maintaining, again, those security and biosecurity and cleanliness standards. That's something that we take a lot of pride in being very good at. So it's a lever that we're going to look into as we know more about the demand and the patient growth.
Okay. And finally, I hate to ask this because you brought it up, though. There was something about a lawsuit over a lack of vendor payment. Could you address that, please?
Yes, it is one of my suppliers that it was falsely stated of what the total dollar amount. Shore Acres has made payments on that balance, and it has lowered that amount. And we intend to pay that total balance off.
How much do you?
It was $270,000. Now it is $53,000 that is owed. So well over $200,000 that has been paid on that balance. Kind of a low blow right before a commission presentation, but it's the world we live in, and I'm here to survive it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Any other? Dr. Harvey?
I'm new on the commission, and my learning curve is pretty steep. And the last time I took biochemistry was about 60 years ago. But remind me, what's the extraction process y'all are using in this? I've learned a lot about that this week and trying to learn more.
Yeah, we'll be using supercritical CO2.
Very good. And one other thing and this is more of a point, I learned very early in oncology, beware of a man with an anecdote. So when you say THC lowers pressure in the eye and glaucoma, that's true, but there's no data that it does it for more than a very short amount of time. And no one, and I know this because I spoke with a UAB ophthalmologist yesterday. Right now, we don't know how to apply THC for 24 hours. Glaucoma is not a 1-minute disease. It's not a 15-minute disease, not a 2-hour disease. So I think, and this is the first presentation, but I think everybody needs to be careful, and especially the people that get the licenses need to be careful, because we are going to be working with the regulations of how this stuff is used. So I think everybody needs to be doing their homework about the medical applications of these. This is a drug.
And Commissioner, you're exactly correct. I think Mary Ross was just quoting the doctor who has done his research, and that's his feeling, but your point is well taken. That's the bad thing about medical cannabis. There hasn't been enough research done. right? And one of the things that we're eager to do is to work with some of the universities here and try and find ways to promote a collaborative effort, curriculum, additional research, things that can continue to bring this plant, which I think by now most people know is pretty powerful. They just don't understand it entirely, and bring this thing more into the light so that we can continue to refine and improve the medicine, and we're committed to doing that.
Well, I think the commission is also committed to making research a part of what's going to happen with medical marijuana in the state of Alabama.
That's great. That's good to hear.
Thank you, Dr. Harvey.
Mr. Chairman, I got one final question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Harwell.
What is your price point per month? Since y'all are growing it, processing, and selling.
I meant to say that in my, because I had listened to presentations from last week, and I think you might have asked that question before, so I apologize I didn't say it. Right now, we think the products are going to come out between $40 and $80 at retail. We also, and it's in our presentation narrative, the 20-pager that we put together, we also have a number of pricing discounts that we're going to apply for folks that are in need. For example, veterans, there'll be a discount for veterans. There'll be a discount for folks that have disabilities. There'll even be a discount that will apply to folks that, you know, have proven financial hardships. We hope to also have a rewards program for our patients if they want to come back and work with us and get even more benefit of working with Southeast Cannabis. But that's about the price range.
I have one more.
Yes, sir, Dr. Jensen.
Secure transporting, I guess, how are you planning on managing that? Are you going to do it yourselves, or are you going to engage with one of our licensed transporters?
We're going to do that internal in Southeastern Cannabis. That was stated in our application. Our security advisor, which is former Sheriff Sam Cochran, will work a detail for secure that transport from our location to our dispensaries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Thank you, Mr. Washington. Anyone else have a question? Do any of our online commission members have a question or comment? Well, if not, great job, guys and ladies. Thank y'all for coming today. We appreciate the presentation. Thank you. We'll go ahead and prepare for Southern Crop Holding Company and LLC, applicant number 1615. So if you want to make your way to the podium, I'm thinking your folks are here. Mr. Randy Meyer, before you prepare your presentation. Randy, is that right? Okay, thank you for being here. And I'm going to ask Mr. Justin A. Day to make a few comments pertaining to your application, please. And then when he gets through, y'all can have the... if y'all have multiple presenters, please make sure that everyone states their name, or maybe you can introduce them and speak into the microphone so that our online commission members can hear well.
Yes, sir.
So, Justin.
All right, this is applicant number 1615, Southern Crop Holding Company, LLC. You have the applicant's application along with the applicant's summary report. There was pass-fail items identified in this application. The applicant was sent a pass-fail show cause notice. They provided response, and that response is included in your materials.
Thank you, Justin. Before y'all get started, Ms. Lisa, make note in the record that Mr. Dwight Gamble arrived in person. Let the record show that. Okay, Randy, the show is yours.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Please use microphone.
Yeah, come to the microphone, the podium, and look at Ms. Peters will show your time allotment up here on the counter, so just be aware of that as you go through your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. We're excited to be here today. Kyle is going to actually start our presentation. I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself, and then we'll go through everyone.
Morning, everyone. My name is Kyle Rayburn, and I'm going to kick us off.
Did you guys upload?
We'll pause your time. I think he's having some technical.
Jason having trouble? Just stand by. We'll get your time adjusted when we get our technical challenges corrected. as I stated earlier, all of these presentations, that's why it's so important that you make sure you're heard in the microphone so they can be adequately recorded and for later use, and as well as those on Zoom today listening in. So I think Ms. Peters has all these posted on a YouTube channel that she's created just for this purpose. It's not built into our time schedule while she's taking care of Jason back there. I'll go ahead and make note. Probably after this presentation, we'll take a short break, bathroom break if we need to, and then we'll proceed on.
Sounds good. All right. Looks like ours.
And they want us to.
Yeah, wait for the time.
Randy, you were the first presenter that showed up in a lab coat, and that's kind of scary.
I had to bring my pharmacist coat, sir.
Okay.
I'm passionate about the industry.
That's not too bad then.
Yes, sir.
All right, you ready, Ms. Peters? Okay, all right. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Kyle Rayburn, and this is our team. We're a Southern Crop Holding Company. And so Southern Crop Holding Company is made up of two entities, the first of which being Southern Organic Farmland. We control 51% of the organization, and everyone on this team has been born and bred in Alabama, with the exception of Judy, and she got here as fast as she could from Texas. She's been here over 30 years. And the R2J team, 49% ownership, is who Dr. Meyer here represents along with his team. And so on the Alabama residency side, Stuart Rayburn, that's my father. He's been in the state his entire life, born and bred, 61 years. Myself, same exact story, 31. Judy, she's been here, longer than I've been alive. So she's more of an Alabamian than a Texan. And Roy and Dr. Bivens as well, cumulatively 141 years of residency in the state. And these are the founding members and our entire team. And so when we decided to partner up with Dr. Meyer, we knew we could have gone with a larger group from California or Colorado, but that's not really our mantra. We started our company from the ground up to be locally responsive. And Dr. Meyer was the first person to get a license in the South. It was in Louisiana. So that really just fit with our mission. And I'll kick it off to Dr. Meyer and let him go from there.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. We're so thankful to the Rayburn family because they started a farm many years ago because of Mr. Stewart's cancer. And we'll go into that a little later when we do his bio, but I can't thank the family enough. We're excited they reached out to us, and we're so passionate about this industry, so it's a great fit from the beginning. I'm pleased to say that I was the first pharmacist to dispense medical marijuana in the South. I own several pharmacies in Louisiana. When this was coming to Louisiana in 2012, it was going to be one of the strictest states. The strictest program, they were only going to allow pharmacies to have access to be a dispensary. I enjoyed looking at that license because of dispensing several specialty medications. I've owned several pharmacies since 2010. That have actually shipped across the state specialty medications. Even here in Alabama, I've had several home infusion patients that we've taken care of for 10 plus years. So applying for the first license in Louisiana, we were fortunate to get that first license and the first to dispense product in all of the state. And we say in the Deep South because of Louisiana being the first state. It's amazing how strict our program is, which is one thing I think is very important. We've been able to go through all of these years. We were awarded the Louisiana license in 2017. We opened the doors in 2018, and it's amazing how strict that program is and what we've done for patients there. That is where my passion comes from as a pharmacist and seeing the impact that this has made in so many lives. Our first patients were cancer patients, first patients were veterans, and to see the impact that a pharmacist can have with sitting with them. You know, I look at many different scenarios over the years of people that have reached out to me for help. And it's always someone that has tried and exhausted so many different medication options. And when they come to you, knowing that they've looked at so many other options and this is something that they're really relying on for their health, you want someone that's educated to be able to sit with your family member or yourself or your child to go through what's the best medication for them. And that's why I think it's so important to have pharmacists involved. We plan to have pharmacists staffing every one of our dispensaries here in Alabama. We do that in Louisiana, and we also do that in Mississippi. I'll go into more of my background as we go through different slides and our experience, but I'd like to go ahead and turn it back over to Kyle now so that he can do an introduction on Mr. Stewart. It was amazing. Mr. Stewart reached out to us about 5 years ago and said he heard this was coming to Alabama. He was already had a farm in a unique spot, which Kyle will go through, and his story and his background of why he wanted to get in this space.
So this is my dad, Stuart, and we started Southern Organics in 2013 as a direct result of him being a cancer survivor. He was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer when I was a child and has battled that pretty much his entire life, and he's in remission now, so doing well. But him and I, this was 2013, right when I was coming out of school, and we were just brainstorming, you know, what we could do. And we both discovered that we really had a passion for, you know, getting back to the roots of growing food and crops the way that, you know, God meant them to be grown, and not the way that the modern agriculture system, you know, is just mass producing everything. So him and I started Southern Organics just with a mission to be locally responsive, to grow healthy fruits and vegetables without any pesticides or herbicides. And over the years, that's really what we built up and really nurtured is just our local community. And my dad can't be here today. He's recovering from a surgery right now that's a result of the radiation that he's experienced. And then my background, I've got a master's of business administration from Alabama. And when I came on board with Southern Organics, when we started it, really just bootstrapped it from the beginning. So we started just knocking on doors after we grew our first crop, and I was able to get us into a network of, you know, 10 plus retail outlets and a handful of restaurants as well. And then that's just grown organically over the years. And over the years as well, you know, I've just built up my knowledge of the agricultural space, the agricultural industry through our virtual connections. Roy is a member of our team as well. We've known him for years, pretty much my entire life. And I won't knock him for going to Auburn. You know, I got my degree from Alabama, but he really has the agricultural background. He's, you know, worked with the TVA. He's a member of Auburn Young Farmers Association. Roy really is just that blue-collar, tried-and-true farmer, and that's what he's brought to our team from day one, you know, just is that expertise. And I'll go ahead and hand it off to Rob now, who can talk about his part.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Rob Nadine. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer with Southern Crop. I'm primarily responsible for the compliance end of our business. I was a Navy veteran. I prosecuted for a number of years, so I'm very familiar with the enforcement side of what regulations do and the importance of it. And I'm proud to say that when we stood up our business in Mississippi, Mississippi was a difficult place to start up. Many of our competitors have had a lot of regulatory issues. There's been a lot of inspection citations. I'm very proud to say that we've received 0 from the very get-go, which was quite an accomplishment that I think we're all very proud of. One of the things that I think is very interesting, also proud of, is the state regulators have asked us if they could do inspection trainings with us at our facility. So I'm confident that when we place our business, if given the opportunity to do so in Alabama, we'll be compliant from the get-go. We'll make sure that that's the case. I believe Dr. Mears also had great success with compliance throughout Louisiana, and we'll make it a key priority for us in Alabama. I'm going to introduce you to Jason Kern. He's our operations officer. Jason?
Morning. Let's see. Jason Kern, manufacturing engineering, Jason Kern, manufacturing engineer, spent the majority of my career, 20 plus years in mostly oil and gas between Louisiana and Texas. We did a lot of projects, mostly building power plants, building pipelines and such. Just to give you guys a quick idea about our organization, you know, we have a lot of owners built in. Obviously, you know, this is a vision for the future once everything is up and running. Southern Crop's focus, patient and product safety is paramount to us. You know, coming from oil and gas, safety and compliance, you know, we want everyone to come to work that day and leave in the same condition or better than they came. So it was pretty easy whenever we started this to make sure that safety was put into place, because it's medication that people take, all the way from the packaging to having people wear the proper PPE while they're in the facility. Then you got to monitor that and ensure everybody is in compliance. Our facility in Mississippi is CGMP. We're actually going through everything now to get the full certification, which should be coming soon. We plan to continue this effort in Alabama, because I personally believe that's the only way you can do it, is to make sure that your facility's clean and it meets the standards and compliance. Business goals, we want to ensure that we have competitive pricing. That's very important to us. Also, speed to market. That's why we partnered up with Southern Organics. The facility's already built on site. It'll take minimal time for us to get in and get everything up to speed, and then we can gradually build out as needed. Another important thing is sustainability. You know, you have a lot of companies that come in, they have big, great ideas, and at the end of the day, it's just not sustainable. So sustainability is very important. And I'm gonna kick it back to Randy.
Okay, guys, you've heard us talk a lot about, I just want to clear up a few things, because Louisiana was mentioned, Mississippi was mentioned. I want you to realize that we only operate in those two states. We are not in multiple states throughout the country. We're passionate about being local to the South, and that's why we named our company Southern Crop. This is actually our Mississippi facility. So when I won the first license in Louisiana, being a pharmacist, being focused on patient care, I noticed there was something missing. The one thing that was missing is we could not grow the product. I saw many advantages to change that model and be able to do more things for patients, and that's why I got passionate about having the first license in Mississippi. We actually also got the first license in Mississippi. This is our facility here. It's a $60 million facility that's completely paid for, debt-free. There's no debt. And the reason I say that is not to brag about that, but to let you know our financial capability. We showed our financial analysis, and Rob's going to go through that later, but in our license and our application, we focused on just what was necessary to get our Alabama project off the ground. We did not go into all of our assets or all of our investors and all of that. We focused on what was necessary for Alabama. The reason I bring that up is because with the location that we have, the Southern Organics farm, It's ready to go. They've been growing many products in that building. We do not need to build a facility. We do not need to operate out of these small hubs. It is a turnkey operation. All we have to do is beef up the security. And then we have ample land there to continue to expand and grow as the market grows. So I think that's a really important factor. We showed our financial capability as it related to this project to be able to get that project to cash flow, knowing it may take 2 years to even get it to that point. I think some people just showed their whole net worth, and I'm hoping that when you guys consider that as a grading score, you realize that we just showed it as it related to this project. To go back, so the story is we started in Louisiana. I was so passionate about what we were doing for patients. I wanted to have this company in Mississippi because we do everything there. We process, we grow, we manufacture, and you hear people mention CGMP. You guys have probably heard that term a lot, and you will hear it a lot this week. There's very few companies that are truly CGMP. When people say CGMP, they're speaking that you should walk in their facility and you should feel no different than if you walk into a Pfizer facility or a big pharmaceutical facility. At the end of the day, that guarantees patient outcomes and patient safety. Very few people meet that standard. Many tout it and try to say it. It's very hard to meet that, and that's why this building cost us a significant amount of money to build from ground up. Stewart's facility has a lot of things in place for us to tweak and eventually get to CGMP as well, without the huge cost that we had here, because this was a ground up build. It was basically not fully ground up, but it was a building that was dilapidated that we had to do a lot of improvements on. So going next, our cultivation experience. Stewart and their family, you've heard that, how they've been in this space and agriculture for many years, but we bring many other things to the table. You can see our plants in this picture. Our Mississippi facility is 175,000 square feet, all processing and everything. Here, we're going to just be processing initially. I know you guys we do not have flower bud in Alabama. So initially, everything is going to be in different forms, such as gel caps, gummies, different things like that, topicals. This machine that I'm showing you right here is called an Intex machine. There's very few in the country. We do plan to incorporate one of these machines here in Alabama. We have this in Mississippi, and it helps us turn around that crude oil very quick that goes into all those finished products. You can see it there. I also highlight some of our products in the below picture. You can see some of our different branding with SOAR and Believe and Fly. The important thing to know about these products, as a pharmacist, the one thing that I saw is patients are very confused. When they come to see you, imagine your parents or your children, and I say children because it's not unusual for us to sit in a conference room with children that have autism. They'll come in with their parents, and we sit down and we go through how this can benefit them and the best doses and regimens for them. That is why I am so passionate about a pharmacist being involved. One thing and one product that I hear people not talk about a lot that we've been very successful with is in skilled nursing homes and in facilities where elderly patients are. They do not know how to consume these products, and we have gel caps. It's no different than your liquid ibuprofen or your liquid Tylenol that you would buy over the counter. We manufacture those, and we've had great relationships and great success with educating the elderly community on those because it's so easy to take, and we have 5 different regimens of them, from your most naive patient or your child that would need a very low dose, all the way to an experienced user that has many complicated issues such as chronic pain to help them reduce opiates, that they would need a stronger medication with medical cannabis. So I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is we're very experienced, we're very passionate in this industry. I realize all the different dosage forms, and we supply those dosage forms in Mississippi under true CGMP criteria. One other thing that we do that's really unique, and I would be shocked if anyone else talks about this that comes before you. It's our tissue culture. We have a tissue culture lab in our Mississippi facility. What that means is we're able to dial into the exact strand that will help with an exact condition. For example, if a patient has chronic pain, there's certain products that you want that patient to get. It is not just a off the shelf, take this and it's going to help you. There's certain products that allow you to dial in, and what allows you to do that is if you have tissue culture so that you can pick exact strands to focus on exact conditions. It also helps where there's no cloning process in our mother rooms. We don't need to have all this extra space. We can dedicate a lot more space just to flower and canopy. So it's a big deal with tissue culture. It also allows many people, when they are growing in their facility, if they get bugs or they have any issues from a pesticide standpoint, the tissue culture can automatically on the next harvest cycle do away with that completely. You do not need to use all these different chemicals to do away with the bugs. You're able to start your whole room over again from scratch. And it's because each harvest we're coming from the clones that are unique and have never been in that room to get infected. What does that mean to you guys? Speed to market. Everything we're discussing is speed to market. We're able to get there a lot quicker to market. You've heard people talk about June if we get the award in January. I would push back on that and say that May is feasible. I think May is feasible for us because our dispensaries are already mostly built. Our grow facility is a turnkey where we're coming into Southern Organics and really just tweaking the security and beefing up the facility. This is one of my dispensaries in Louisiana. This is actually the flagship location. You can see the ribbon cutting there. As we've said 1,000 times, we were the first in Louisiana and also the first in Mississippi. We've never had any disciplinary action, which is a big thing in this space. If you look at many of the other applicants, I doubt all of them can say that, especially ones that are in multi-state. This is why I believe in just focusing on the South, focusing on states that are very strict and force us to operate in a regulatory environment because of my pharmacy background. Transportation, I heard one of you mention transportation earlier. We currently do transport to all of our facilities in Mississippi. We do that in-house, so from the grow facility to our actual dispensaries. Also in Louisiana, I started the first delivery campaign for patient access throughout the state. We ensured that every single patient could get access throughout the whole program because many can't travel 20 miles to a dispensary if they're in a rural area. We started a program, we would deliver it to them. And actually we do that at no charge to provide access for all the patients. I think that would be something where Alabama could eventually get to, but you guys are gonna wanna make sure, as I said, and you guys want to, there's strict protocols you need to put in place for that. We're proud that we've been able to do that in Louisiana. And we're actually talking about a campaign to be able to help deliver to patients in Mississippi. You heard our compliance officer, Rob, he mentioned that we've never had any negative marks, and many times the legislators and the board members come to us for advice because we consider ourselves having flagship locations. That's one thing that we're working on in Mississippi right now is getting a robust delivery program to consumers and working with many on doing that in a compliant way. I'm going to let Rob go ahead and talk about our actual site. I've hit on it a little bit on how we could get speed to market really quick. Rob, please go ahead.
Thank you. When our group was contacted originally by Mr. Rayburn's group, when we learned about where their location was for their nursery, frankly, we were pretty excited about that. As you can see, the site which the nursery is located at is adjacent to the Shelby County landfill. It's actually Landfill Road, as you can see on our application. That gave us a good deal of confidence in the location because we wouldn't have any of the not in my backyard phenomenon that would happen. We are not near any residences, any businesses that would be offended by the smell. Anytime you cultivate and you flower, there is a odor that emits. I mean, we try to capture as much as it's best possible with carbon filters and other methods, but there is. I mean, anybody who tells you there isn't is not being quite honest with you. So being at a landfill and probably being the least noxious fumes coming out of the landfill is a good thing. And we're really happy about that. And I think that should be something you should all strongly consider. The location is also close to a roadway. We can distribute and supply our dispensaries appropriately and quickly. We will have our own transportation system. And like we do in other states, we need to augment that, and sometimes that does happen. We can certainly contract with some of the licensed transport companies in the state. So that's typically our plan. Dr. Muir addressed some of our financial capabilities and our sustainability. Frankly, we were surprised at some of the lower marks as far as the scores for our financial capabilities. And I just wanted to point out that within our application, we did have a plan. And we did estimate what it would cost to move forward and to be able to sustain ourselves and our own operations and our labor for a little over 2 years. And sometimes it takes that long to get, cash positive. So we weren't demonstrating what our financial capabilities would be as a business, but rather as business people, what we would dedicate to the operational budgets for a couple years. Like he had mentioned before, we have a facility in Mississippi, which is debt-free. It's the largest facility in the state. And frankly, I'd hate to brag on ourselves, but as we've been told by many of the businesses that operate cultivation facilities across the country, it's one of the nicest ones they've seen. And it's simply because we put in top-notch equipment and we have a completely self-sustaining and environmentally controlled conditions throughout the entire building. That lends itself to the CGMP practice and protocols that we like to tout. So we started from the very beginning that way, and that's the way we operate. We tend to do the same thing in Alabama. If we need more funds, we can self-sustain. If that's for 3 years or more, we can do all of those things. So I would hope that there could be a reassessment of the scoring for the financial capability within our application, because we certainly are able. We also are able to go to market quickly for a number of reasons. One of the main reasons is because we are going to be building out a nursery that already exists. The Southern Organics Nursery has a number of nurseries that radiate out from the center where we'll do our processing and cooling and some of the drying. But we'll suit out one of the nursery spaces, which is quite large in and of itself, and get it safe, get it secure, and have the fully compliant conditions within that nursery space. But we also have the ability to expand very quickly and very readily. We can simply go from that one nursery pod to another, to another, to another. And these are not self-sustained, pre-manufactured Connex boxes or pods. These are actual growing nursery spaces that the Rayburns have been growing organic greens in for 10 years. So it's pretty exciting to be able to just step into something that's pretty much ready to go. And we knew that that was a chief priority for the committee. So I wanted to point that out to you as well. We also already have a number of relationships within this industry in the South, and we plan to leverage those relationships to build up our presence in Alabama, and that's quite easy to do. We are in Meridian, Mississippi, and that's reasonably close to Shelby County. So moving about is not going to be difficult for us at Southern Crop. I did want to address two of the pass-fail items that we have. One of them has to do with the CV of Roy Gilbert. That was an upload issue. The CV of Mr. Gilbert was submitted in the first round. There were deficiencies noted, which included formatting and certain items like that. On the second transmission, it appears it's not in there. So we do ask for a little grace on that. I believe that's more of a deficiency issue and not a substantive deficiency or pass-fail issue. So that is something that I'd like for you to consider. The second issue, which is really an interesting one, was the residency requirement. We were given a fail on the residency requirement because Mr. Gilbert, the documents supporting Mr. Gilbert's residency didn't go back his whole 29 years. We believe that that was, we certainly could have supplied that. It was somewhat of an oversight not to just do it, just to be overly comprehensive. But according to the regulations, we fully believe we are fully compliant with the regs. The regs, obviously, as you know, state that the records that we must support, we must provide, must indicate that a majority of the ownership, which in our thoughts is SO Farmland, they are the majority owner, 51%, is attributable to an individual or individuals with proof of residency in Alabama for over 15 years. As you can see, we have about 140 years, and documented within the records, if you take out the 29, we're over 112, 113 years of residency within Alabama. So the noted goals that obviously the state has is to maintain residency ownership and have Alabamans run the operations of this type of business, and we certainly comply with that. I think it's a very reasonable, good faith reading of the regulations that I believe we complied with, and would hope that you give that a second consideration. If there's any questions that you might have, or Dr. Meyer, I don't know if you had anything else you'd like to say? I think we give some time back.
Well, I'll tell you what, Robert, I'm going to let, it's my fault, I did not allow Justin to address some of those pass-fail notations right before y'all was present. Oh, did he? Oh, did you? Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we got that covered, and I'm glad you addressed it, and that will help us in understanding a lot better. Any commission members have any question for?
Mr. Chairman, I have one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Harwell.
Pertaining to the growing operation at Southern Organics, is that indoors or in greenhouses?
It's actually both, but most of the operation is indoors.
So this would be done
indoors, yes, sir. And color.
Yeah, just to add some color. We've got 2 commercial greenhouses, but we also have 2 10,000 square foot metal insulated buildings, and that's where our seedling nursery is currently. So it would just be a build out from there in the indoor facility.
Okay. Share a little bit about your water system.
Sir?
Your water system?
We're plumbed into the city. We've got a settlement pipe.
Are you testing that water for?
Yes, sir. We've had to do that for a decade with growing. And we send in regular lab results, I think it was every single week, to Guardian Labs and MMI Labs to make sure our water was as pure as possible. And we used a reverse osmosis system.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to have wells on the property, and they quit producing, but we swapped over to city 5-6 years ago, and it's been going great ever since.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, James. Anyone else have a question? Got one, Dr. Jensen?
Sorry for my information. Can you explain a little bit more about how the tissue culture process works?
You want
to? Yeah. Typically you have mother rooms that are used, and you grow the plants and you make clippings off of the mother plants and you create the clones. Well, the tissue culture partners that we deal with basically on a very small scale takes minute pieces of the plant, and they have a special patented media, and they grow inside of well, let's see, we should have a picture. Yeah, so if you see where the black glove is, that's the brown stuff is the media, and then that's probably 14 or 15 plants in there, and then they'll keep replicating. And the good thing is that every plant's identical. Every plant is the same. So in the future, I really think this will help with like medical research and stuff. So I mean, if you have somebody with PTSD and a certain strain helps that person, then we're able to replicate that same exact strain so that that medication is the exact same, and it's not coming from 3 or 4 different mother plants that you're cutting 50, 60 clones off of every several weeks. And then eventually you got to get rid of all those mother plants and start with some new plants, have them grow. Just, because every time you cut off of these mother plants, they have to rejuvenate themselves and grow back, and then they kind of lose their potency. That's why you get rid of them and you bring in new mother plants. But this way it's pure genetics. And this facility, this partner that we're using, they're very advanced. I mean, they're actually putting pieces of plants inside capsules as seeds and whatnot. So, I mean, they've come a long way. It probably, I think maybe 7 to 10 years they've been working on this, getting it right.
I'm still ignorant about this this part of the business, but I guess it's my understanding that people generally extract different compounds. They'll have the Delta 9 and they'll have the different terpenes and things, and then they recombine them to make the product. So
in extraction, you have the cannabinoids, the THC, CBN, and whatnot. So in this, what I was referring to was to flour. If
right.
Flour gets.
But to make a consistent product, can't you just take those components and add them back together that you've extracted? The CBN?
You can extract, so we have a terpenes extraction unit that's done with steam, and we'll strip out the terpenes, and then we'll use ethanol extraction to strip out the THC, and then we combine them back together.
Okay. So maybe I misheard you all, but you said initially you weren't cultivating. So is that because you need to get the facilities ready and you're going to buy product in?
No, sir. So in Louisiana, when I won the first license there, it was a dispensary license. They only allowed 2 cultivators in that state. It was the partners of LSU and Southern University, which I think actually about a year ago, Malcolm Broussard came and spoke to you guys, which is our regulator in Louisiana. I could not cultivate there because it was just to the 2 universities.
Right.
But then I was so passionate about it, seeing the success of it, knowing how we could tweak and make the process better. That's why we created a Mississippi facility.
Okay.
In Mississippi, we're completely vertical, like we would be here in Alabama if we were awarded.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Thank you, Randy. Any other commissioner have a question? Any of our commissioners online have a question for Southern Crop Holding Company? Thank all you guys for being here today. Appreciate the presentation and your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Southern Crop Holding and LLC, applicant number 1615. And we'll take a quick break and get back to it shortly.
Yes. Okay, great. He's still working. Yeah, he's still working. They says retire. He's still working.
How do you do?
We'll go ahead and prepare for our next presenter. The group of Natural Relief Cultivation and LLC, applicant number 1620, applying for an integrated facility. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Before we let y'all take the podium and start off, I'll ask Mr. Justin Aday to make mention of any issues on your application. Justin?
Yes, sir. This is applicant number 1620, Natural Relief Cultivation, LLC. You have the full application, the applicant summary, and brief that was presented by the applicant. There were no pass-fail items noted in the application.
Thank you, Justin. Can you go ahead and state your name?
Sure. My name is Dennis Pantazis.
Okay. Mr. Pantazis, I'll let you, how many of you are going to actually present today? Just
all four of us.
Okay, as y'all come to the podium, go ahead and introduce yourself, and that way our court reporter can make note of that. So always look right here on the counter, and Ms. Peters will have your time beginning with 45 minutes, and use that clicker as you see fit for your presentation. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, my name is Dennis Pantazis, and I have the great pleasure of being here today as part of the leadership team for the Natural Relief Cultivation. First, let me tell you, we appreciate the opportunity to present our position and our case to this commission. We appreciate your time, and we know the difficult job that you have in selecting the appropriate companies to provide medical supplies and product to the people of Alabama. When we began to create our team, we wanted to make sure that our leadership was dedicated to delivering on-time results with security, transparency, and integrity. So the first place we looked at is, what does the statute say? Well, as a lawyer, I don't want to really get into the statute, but there are two parts of the statute that are very important to us. One is the need, and the other is the merit. Talking first about the merit, key points, we wanted to build a team that had professionals that were qualified, ethical, that consisted of a majority of Alabama residents, and our leadership is comprised of professionals and people who have spent years in the regulated cannabis industry as operators. We also wanted to provide the commission and the people of Alabama with a strength of transparency. We think that's very important, that the application has to be transparent. We were the only integrated applicant that we know of out of the 38 that submitted a fully unredacted application. We were also the only one, in addition to that, that passed every pass-fail requirement that we understand, and did not amend or have to amend its application after the 12/31/22 deadline. What does that have to do with our application? It shows that we were prepared, that we are direct, and we gave all the information as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The other key point to the merit is our financial ability. We have provided information that shows that our financial support is over $475 million available in liquid capital. And we're going to go into more detail about that. But that's an important thing, to be able to deliver what we promise and sustain while you perform. Our facilities are medically focused with product quality and patient experience first. I'm not going to go into too much of the team right here, but our team is comprised of business owners, regulated cannabis operators with proven record of success, former lawmakers, legal professionals, financial specialists, and security specialists. We had to have all these people with high-level expertise and quality of ethical conduct in order to be successful. One of the people that our team leadership is made up of these individuals. One of the individuals is Gary Davis. Gary Davis is a fourth-generation Alabama farmer that finds new cannabis an opportunity to be perfect to cap his rewarding career. He and his family have been farming in Alabama for over 100 years. He's excited to be part of the program, and at this point in time, I would like to ask Mr. Davis to come speak.
Good morning. I'm Gary Davis, a North Alabama fourth-generation row crop farmer. I live in North Alabama in the county of Lawrence County. First, I would like to thank the AMCC board for this time slot this morning. My family has a long history in agriculture in Alabama. My family before me were cotton farmers. With a shift in the cotton market years ago, I went to the grain market. Today, I grow soybeans, corn, winter wheat on 700 acres in North Alabama. I've been involved in farming my whole life, not just for possible income, but for the love and enjoyment of farm life. At one time, I owned and operated Davis Scouting Service, where I scouted up to 5,500 acres of cotton for area farmers in North Alabama and southern Tennessee, making important insect treatment decisions. Today, to keep up with increasing costs of farm impacts like fuel, seed, and fertilizer, you have to be willing to make changes to keep your operation moving for the next generation. That's why I'm excited about being a part of this great team to enter into the medical cannabis industry to bring relief to so many people in the state of Alabama. As a minority farmer, this is a great opportunity to further diversify the farming business, to make it stronger, to the future generations, to continue the Davis family legacy in agriculture. Thank you.
Mr. Davis is an owner at 51% of our company. We also have Matthew Dent, who's president and CEO of Buffalo Rock out of Birmingham. We have Tony Patelis, who's here today. Tony has been a public servant for over 35 years. And we're going to go in a little bit more into Tony when he speaks. As I've indicated to you, I'm an attorney. I'm probably the least qualified to be up here to talk about cannabis, but nevertheless, I am part of the team, and they asked me to speak, so I will speak. We have Tony Smoke, who's in charge of our VIP marketing. He's with Alabama Power and 35 years at SIPCO. You have Brian Falk. In my opinion, Brian is the CEO, is the most important part of our team along with Gary, because he is the CEO of Arkansas's largest medical cannabis dispensary. Brian has enjoyed a very successful career of over 35 years prior to going into this industry, in telecommunication industry. He owns and operates the largest dispensary in the state of Arkansas, which has won many industry's awards for steadfast care of its patients. At this time, I would like to ask Brian to come speak.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, Commission. I'm a little under the weather today, so excuse me for that, but it is such an honor to be here to talk about cannabis, to be considered for a rollout like this that's going to change the state of Alabama forever. You'll see. A little bit more in depth just about some of our key members here. I think it's important for y'all to know that we've put together a really good team of Alabamians that are committed to the product for what they know about it to date, and I think everyone's going to go through a little learning curve as we get into this and see what cannabis is going to bring to Alabama. But Matthew Dent, our CEO, is currently the president and CEO of Buffalo Rock, the PepsiCo distributor here in the state, and is responsible for all company operations in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. So Matthew's a very accomplished business operator as well. Tony Patelis, our COO, has nearly 35 years in public service supporting Alabama citizens at the state, county, and city level, where he built a genuine reputation as an executive leader whose actions are rooted in transparency, very important, integrity, and efficiency. So Tony's done a great job for the state of Alabama already. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer, more on me here in a moment, and Jeff Davis is our Chief Investment Officer, had a very good career in the telecommunications industry as well for 25 years, founded a very successful company and is bringing that investment opportunity to us now. And our Chief Financial Officer, Gerhard Renner, has a very distinguished financial and entrepreneurial education. His extensive legal background in managing and funding growth companies, and Gerhard has earned multiple higher education degrees, including a Juris Doctorate from the University of California Law School, an MBA from the University of Southern California Marshall School of Business, and an honors double major from the University of California. So a very extensive background. And one that we're really proud of, guys, is we've added a chief medical officer to our team. Dr. Grant Stone has been operating. You have some letters and some information on Grant as a handout. I really encourage you to look at that. Grant is a dedicated pain management, an interventional pain specialist. So this is really important to Grant and to our pharmacists. Opioid use is one of the real problems that we have in the country, and cannabis is proving to be the best replacement for that product, and Grant is bringing that knowledge and stuff to our team. So we have a team of dedicated professionals, and I'm going to be the experience on the team. I own and operate the largest dispensary in the state of Arkansas, and Commission, I'm the only real, true owner-operator in the state. I go to my business every day, and I get behind a register. I don't sit in the back and count products, and I'm behind a register dealing with my patients every day. I see who they are. I know who they are. And we've won some awards in the state because we've been fortunate to learn from good people and have done a good job. The largest dispensary in the state. I'm happy about that award, but really, to be honest with you, anybody could win that award. You could get really lucky, have a great location, and statistics will get you the largest. I'm happy about that award, but I'm proud about the best dispensary in the state of Arkansas, because that's voted on by the people. They vote, the patients vote about who takes care of them the best, who has the best programs that our patients are really concerned with and want to see delivered from their dispensaries. So we see over 1,000 patients a day. We have 2,600 reviews, over 2,600 reviews on Weed Maps, which is the primary vehicle in the industry, with a 4.8 average. So I really think that what the people of the state of Arkansas have to say about our business will translate well for the people of the state of Alabama. We hope that you will consider that. On our merit, Dennis talked briefly about the strength and transparency of our application. I do think it's important, and I hope you guys will give some consideration to the fact that we were the only applicant that submitted a completed application on time with no amendments. Nothing changed. We were the only applicant that met or exceeded all 6 pass-fails and scoring requirements, and the only applicant to be fully transparent. Not one word of our application was redacted. Gentlemen, we have nothing to hide. I own one location in the state of Arkansas. We're not an MSO or a chain. We've been very successful in Arkansas, and a friend introduced me to Dennis and some other people that started all this process, and we want to bring that to Alabama, and we think we can. So I kind of submit to you, we're the only one that completed everything as you requested it to be. And I submit to you that the way a company executed their application process is going to be how they execute their business, their cannabis business in your state. So we all had the same information, we all had the same time frame, we all had access to the same resources, and we were the only applicant that completed all three of these things complete. So I would ask that you give a little consideration to that. So we have the expertise, Commission, to be in this industry, and we have the money to be in this industry. And Dennis is going to talk a little bit about that.
Can I have a flicker? Thanks, appreciate it. As I stated earlier, and as this slide shows, that we have over $478 million in assets, liquid assets, available for this project. And these are liquid, and not only is this our word, this has been certified by an accountant, which you have that information in front of you as well, or should have in your application in front of you. This gives us the opportunity to do a lot of different things. First of all, we know that the cost, the build-out cost, we have broken down in different facilities. For example, the cultivation build-out cost is over $22 million. Birmingham dispensary, which is what we propose, is $1.2 million. Gadsden dispensary, $1.2 million. Owens Crossroads dispensary, $1.2 million. Russellville dispensary, $1.2 million. Tuscaloosa dispensary, $1.2 million. That totals to about $29 million in build-out estimated cost. You have to have the money to be able to do that. But that's the beginning. That's the build-out cost. That's not the operational. We have enough revenue, and we estimate that the revenue will be $20 million in revenue from all dispensaries in 24 to 25. And then $15 million in revenue from cultivation from 24 to 25. Obviously, you have to have enough money to last 3 years. We have enough money to last 7 years or longer. We exceed the 3-year minimum that was proposed by the Commission. Most applicants are making their business model and their financial plan fit into the liquidity that they currently have, meaning I've got to make my building a little smaller, or I've got to find a cheaper building to get it into the money. We did it the reverse. We made our liquidity, meaning that we have this much money that we can spend, fit our we made our liquidity fit our financial plan so that we knew that we didn't have to cut back on hard facilities, on people, or speed in getting them up to operational. There's enough money to operate, like I said, over the 3-year period. I like your flicker, by the way. This slide just basically repeats what I have just said. The important thing is Natural Relief Cultivation showed a 7-year financial pro forma model to estimate operations into the future. Your requirement was to have financial ability to maintain for 3 years. We exceeded that. I'd like to now introduce to you Tony Patelis. Tony was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, as a longtime resident of Birmingham, of Jefferson County. Tony was a contractor for 30 years. He was elected to the legislature 3 times. He was appointed by Governor Fob James as commissioner of DHR for Alabama, one of the largest states agency with over 4,000 employees. He was the only cabinet member to be kept by then Governor Siegelman when he took office. Tony was elected mayor of Hoover twice. Hoover is the 6th largest city in the state of Alabama. After his stint as mayor, he was appointed Jefferson County's first county commissioner and inherited a county which I can tell you as a resident was very dysfunctional. And Tony brought it out from the abyss. I've known Tony all my life. We grew up together, and I asked Tony to join our team because I think so much of him. Tony?
Thank you, Dennis. And once again, thank you, commissioners, for being here and allow us to speak today. I want to talk a little bit about my experience. When I was at the county, I inherited a mess, as Dennis said it, and I was the first county manager, CEO of Jefferson County, and we had a lot of compliance issues at Jefferson County. We had compliance issues when I was at DHR, and I even had compliance issues when I was at the mayor of Hoover. I worked on those compliances, and we found solutions. I'll give you an example. We have an infusion center at Cooper Green Hospital, which is a county hospital, and the pharmacy board notified us that we were out of compliance. Met with them. I personally got involved, and we developed a plan so that we could continued to offer infusions for our cancer patients in Jefferson County. We implemented a plan, worked with the pharmacy board, and after several months, we became compliant once again with our infusion product. We have saved a lot of lives in Jefferson County at Cooper Green Hospital, which is a hospital for the poorest people in Jefferson County that do not have the funds to pay for any type of medical service. Let's talk about the facilities. We have looked and we have found 5 locations in Jefferson County, and we are going to build state-of-the-art facility at all of our dispensaries. We're very excited about the fact of building an indoor cultivation facility, and the indoor facility is nothing like a greenhouse. It's a solid building, and the indoor facility will help us with higher quality, climate control. It's not affected by seasonal changes, less humidity, fewer pests, and sustainability. And let's move to the next slide. This is our cultivation facility. The cultivation facility that we have is 59,000 square feet. It will be 59,000 square feet built from the ground up. It can grow when it's up and running fully 100%, and it's functioning somewhere close to 300 pounds every 3 weeks of product. And this facility will have real walls, a real roof, and you'll see 6 different growing areas in there. And those areas will be foam insulated walls with a vinyl material, food grade material inside there. And so each room is separate from that, so it makes it much more easier when you're dealing with the products. We have also in this, we'll have the concrete vaults, cameras, and state-of-the-art detection. The dispensaries. This is the dispensary that Brian has in Arkansas. It's 4,000 square feet. He does a tremendous building there. It's a beautiful building, and I can tell you it's very functional. And what we have done is we've taken the plans that Brian has used that was very successful in Arkansas and to use it here in Alabama. And so we have plans ready to go to build 4,000 square foot facility in our 5 locations. This is the outside of Brian's facility in Arkansas, and this is what we plan to build. These are state-of-the-art facilities. We're very secure. They're concrete blocks with concrete poured in the cells of the blocks with rebar, so they're very secured. And we made the decision, we never made the decision to think about going into a shopping center or a strip center. If you go into a shopping center, the only thing you have control of is the indoor facility. You don't have any control over the parking, the lighting outside, the handicap accessibility. And then also, the only thing that's setting you apart from the people in the shopping center is a sheetrock wall. and you can have odor that will migrate over to the next area. So, and this gives our patients they will feel comfortable coming to our facility and not we're driving into a shopping center, having to park way over here and, to go into the dispensary. This is the indoor view of Brian's facility in Arkansas. And I can say that when you go in, it's a very good feeling. The employees that we will have will be in uniform, so our patients would know who are the employees. And it has a feel like an Apple store. If you've ever been in an Apple store, so we're very proud of that fact. And we want to, our goal is long-term, building from the ground up, building our cultivation facility from the ground up, not retrofitting anything and not going into any shopping center or strip center. Last year, I went around, met with a lot of mayors and city council, trying to find locations for us, and had the opportunity to meet with Mayor Grissom and Mayor Grissom has an incredible story. His family has been in Russellville for 4 generations. Their family has owned multiple businesses there. He's been elected 3 times as mayor of Russellville. And he was skeptical, and you can hear from him in a second on a video. And he went and saw Brian's location in Arkansas, and he became a believer. He has secured 28 acres for us to put our growing facility there, and we will also have a growing facility in Russellville, Northwest Alabama, also have a retail facility there. This is
well, we need to play the video.
How do we do the video?
Okay.
Video is a couple slides away.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. I evidently got people out of order. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go.
That's my stuff.
The reason that the mayor is so important in Russellville is because the area that we're talking about, the northwest corner of Alabama, under the original applications that were approved, this area here was totally left out of any of the integrated services and had, I think, only 1 dispensary in that area. That's over 1 million people. And again, when I said merit and need in the beginning, well, as to need, this area of Alabama needs to have these products available to it. This area of Alabama needs to have this industry in it. We're the only ones that have provided and proposed an integrated system with dispensaries here and throughout North Alabama. This is the area that was underserved, that again is over 1 million people. This is what we propose as our locations. We think it's important that when you look at these other applications, who services this area of the state, this large area of the state? The only answer to that question is our group, and I think that's important. Tony, now you can introduce the mayor.
Sorry, I'm getting off track. But anyway, Mayor Grissom, his family's 4 generations in Russellville, and we have secured the property, and I'm going to let him speak to that now.
Hi, I'm David Grissom, mayor here in the city of Russellville. I'm currently serving in my 3rd term as mayor. I was born here, raised here, as were my parents, grandparents, so I love the city of Russellville. I want to tell you a quick story about making a decision concerning medical cannabis here for the city of Russellville. I was called several months ago by a close family friend, and he said, hey, I want you to meet Brian Falk from Arkansas, a great friend of mine in the medical cannabis business. This was shortly after the Alabama legislature had passed the Alabama cannabis bill, and I was kind of reluctant at first, but this was a lifetime friend that was friends with Brian, and I said, sure, come on down to City Hall. So we met, we talked a lot. What was supposed to be a 10 or 15-minute meeting lasted for hours, and we talked deer hunting, we talked football, and we talked medical cannabis. I learned lots that day, and you know, I had a background in business. My parents started local retail business here in 1977. We're still running that business here today. So my family is a business type family. We announced over 900 jobs here in the city of Russellville my first term, 2012 to 16. In a town of 9,800, that's pretty significant. So I wanted to see the benefits of the medical cannabis business, and you know, I told Brian and John that I knew very little about it, but I was eager to learn. And after hearing the story, I decided I wanted to make the best decision for the people of Russellville, and I wanted to go to Sherwood, Arkansas, and see the operation. He told me about the dispensary. He told me about the growing facility, and I wanted to go see it for myself because I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning. So myself and 2 city council members, we made the trip to Sherwood, Arkansas. I'll never forget it. It was on a Friday. We spent all day in the dispensary. It was as nice as any Russellville pharmacy that we have in place here today. His team members were excellent, helping the customers. Unbelievable. The revenue numbers at the end of the day, he showed us the entire operation, and it was more than what he had explained in my office that day. The next day, we toured the growing facility. It was equally as impressive. So I came back, myself and the other city council members. We explained it to our other city council members. Another member made the trip to Arkansas and took a look for himself. We passed the ordinance to allow for it here, and after working with Brian and his team, we actually have an agreement in place with Natural Relief Cultivation with the city of Russellville, an agreement in place to donate 28 acres of land once they hit the 250 job number. So they have agreed to provide 250 good paying jobs plus a $25 million capital investment here in the city of Russellville. It's something that we need here, not to mention the medical benefits of medical cannabis. Personally, I've been diabetic since I was 9 years old. So once I heard the medical benefits of medical cannabis, that just made me more inclined to try to make this possible here in Northwest Alabama. So before making any important decision, I always try to get all the information that I can get. Made the trip to Arkansas. These are very professional people. They did an excellent job there in Arkansas, and this is something that we would love to see here in the city of Russellville.
Okay. Let's talk about speed to market. Oh, excuse me. I recently wasn't able to put it in the package, but I received a letter from the Mayor from Gadsden, Mayor Ford, and I'm going to read just one paragraph of it. I believe that the addition of natural relief cultivation operation business within our community would be very beneficial to the city of Gadsden through the creation of new jobs, economic opportunities, and both for the citizens and the city. So we have support from our elected officials, and some of the mayors that we met with were not interested in putting medical cannabis in their cities, but we have the 5 locations. Let's talk about the speed to market. What we have here are shipping containers that are 40 feet long. There's a company that takes those containers and they build them out, and so all we have to do, once we get the concrete poured, then they come and set the containers up and hook everything up. And they're ready to go. These containers are ready to go. And I have a video on that if I don't mess up with this thing. But this is our plan, to use this temporary facility while we're building our big cultivation building. So we will be able to bring product to market much faster by having this. And I want to show the slide on the speed to market at this time.
We begin by offering the most secure perimeter area with a 10-foot high dual fence setup with a 7-foot retention area, as used in the highest security environments, including prisons. The entry is a secure intake area that leads to the administrative pod. As we enter the green propagation entry area, we see a pressured vestibule and the mother plants on the right. The Stride is a proprietary cultivation system that allows for vertical growing in small spaces and is the baby brother to the Farmation Station. Next, we look toward the grinder and fertigation room for 100% compliance, and move to the trim area where the plants are processed for consumption or use. Dry and cure area where the plants will be dried and cured. Then enter the extraction room with 2 CO2 extraction units in place. We then show the vault room, where the flower is stored in one vault and the finished product in the second vault. As we enter the packaging room, you can see the location where all products are prepared for shipping, which brings us to the final stage. The shipping room, where the truck can back up and be loaded with ease.
So that is our plan to get product to market as quick as we can. It's not the same quantity, I mean the quantity, but we'll be able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Excuse me. And guys, we're going to do all that to do this. We're going to manufacture and process and package and sell everything that the commission sees fit to provide for the patients of the state of Alabama. So currently you're doing tinctures, topicals, capsules, suppositories, and non-sugar-coated lozenges. And so everything that the commission provides to the state, we will be a conduit of that and provide that as well at a high quality. One thing, they left this slide out, and it's really important. Pharmacists and education. We are very, very, if you'll read some of those weed map reviews, and I know some of y'all having trouble with that name alone, weed maps, but these reviews are really, really important, Commission. These are the people that walk into our building and look us in the face. And they know who we are and we know who they are. We know what they need. We know what they like. And guys, I think the greatest thing you have to look forward to as a commission is when you see firsthand somebody that makes the light go off for you, that this really is medicine. It will happen. And normally it's a granny. I did an interview with a TV station about 6 months ago in Arkansas, and they called me and said, the industry has exploded. Why? Will you do an interview? I said, sure, I know why. And they came and they set up and they did everything. They said, why has the cannabis industry exploded in the state of Arkansas? I said, it's one word, it's really simple, it's granny. This is what happened. They're sitting around Sunday lunch, and Granny's rubbing her hands, and she complains that she didn't sleep last night because her arthritis is bothering her. And her grandson goes, Granny, take one of these, a non-sugar-coated lozenge. Take one of these tonight and let me know how you feel tomorrow. And Granny took it that night. And she slept like a fat baby, guys, I got to tell you. And the next morning, she called her grandson and said, where do I get more of them? And so she goes down to get her card, and she comes in, and we set her up. And then the product works. And so what does Granny do? She goes tell all her friends at church and all her friends around town. And that's how the industry exploded, is because the product really works, Commission. You've done a great thing bringing this to the state of Arkansas. And you'll know, Alabama, thank you. And you'll know, guys, when you see that firsthand. But we think pharmacists and education is a very big part. When you read my reviews, you'll see two things: knowledge and kindness. We know every question that a patient is going to ask us. I put my consultants through a very extensive 3-week training program, 3 full weeks before they ever see a patient. They know everything about CBN, CBG, CBD, everything about THC that a patient may want to know. We use our pharmacists. We think this is so important. We've got 5 pharmacists, and we're not going to get them. We already have them. Jeremy Smith, Josh Harden, Ryan Hamilton, Brad Ledbetter, Andrew Wagner are all going to be trained. They'll be at each dispensary every day, and they're all going to be trained by Dr. Grant, Dr. Grant Stone, the interventional pain doctor. So, guys, we take a very serious approach to education. And again, if you look at my reviews, that's one of the first things they mention is the knowledge of everyone on my team that can answer every question that they have. So very important. We hope you will give that some consideration, gentlemen. And with that, we stand by our mission statement. We live by it, we stand by it. Proven leadership dedicated to delivering on-time results, that's very important, with security, transparency, and integrity. Thank you for your time today, and we'd love to answer any questions.
I'm sure you'll have a few. Any commission members have a question for the Natural Relief Cultivation Team, an LLC?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Yes, sir, Mr. Harville.
Who will be in charge of the growing operation? Y'all mentioned a lot of things, but not much.
Mr. Tony Patelis. Mr. Tony Patelis is our COO. He will be operational. He will be in the facility. He is retired from his other life, and he told me last night he's getting ready to retire from the job he has now. You want to tell him what that is? He wants to grow cannabis.
I retired 2 years ago from Jefferson County, and I've been working for my wife, so it's time for me to get back to work. So, and I'm going to be a hands-on person as the chief operating officer, working with our leadership team. Do I know anything about cannabis? No, I do not. But when I went to county, did I know anything about Cooper Green Hospital? No. Did I know anything about the sewer department? No. I have a lot to learn, but I know how to manage people. I know how to manage money. And with DHR, we had 4,000 employees, and I know how to get things done, and I know how to solve problems. Those are the strong points that I have.
Guys, we're going to be very hands-on. We are owner-operators. I trained my entire staff on the culture and the processes that I wanted in place, and I think you saw our results, the largest and the best. And I'm going to personally go around and train our complete staff at all 5 dispensaries. They're going to run just like my store in Arkansas. So, guys, we are going to be very hands-on owner-operators. We are not farming all this out. You're looking at the people who are going to run these companies.
Mr. Pertanzas, you may can address this question. In Arkansas, has any of your team had any activity promoting or lobbying for recreational marijuana in Arkansas?
No, sir. No, sir. Recreational did not pass. It was on the ballot. and it did not pass, and there are no efforts right now currently to bring it back to the ballot. We don't think it'll ever pass in Arkansas. They gave up. It's going to be a medical state until it changes on a federal level.
To answer your question more directly, to the best of our knowledge, none of our leadership team had any role in it one way or the other.
Okay.
I would like to talk a little bit about something kind of bringing it home. I began with the statute that talked about merit and need. I think we've shown that we have the merit, we have the money, we have the expertise, we have the success. And the way we're planning on getting this done, within 45 days you get the container cultivation growing, but we're also talking about hard building new structures for the permanency. So we have the money to do both the speed and the long-term goal. But the need is maybe the most important part. You have a lot of companies that are qualified. I'm not going to tell you they're not. And we think we're qualified, and we think we're exceptionally qualified. But the thing that we provide that nobody else does is servicing those people in that northwest quadrant. That million people will be left out if we're not granted an integrated license, because we're the only ones that are putting our processes in that area. You have a lot of other parts of the state that are covered, but not that part. And I think that's very important. One other thing, I heard a question from somebody about the cost. Well, we have a track record of cost. Our cost, depending on whether it's lozenge at $15 per person or per prescription, to nebulizers are about $50. Those are our costs today in Arkansas, so I wanted you to know that as well.
Those would be the prices that we start out offering in Alabama as well, 15 to 50. And guys, we know manufacturing cost. We have very close relationships with our cultivators in Arkansas. My son actually runs the largest cultivation facility in the state. So we know manufacturing cost. We know on the come out that we can offer products in that price range of $15 to $50. That's what I sell today.
The commission has not had a say-so in the cannabis products. That was a directive from the legislature.
Gotcha.
So that was not on our plate, thank goodness. We've got enough. Any other commission members have any questions?
So,
of this team? Dr. Jensen.
Yes. So I just heard that your son cultivates. So where do you expect, since none of you have really been in the growing and processing, at least you here, where do you get that knowledge base to do?
Sir, we've already hired a very professional processor and a grower that are going to move to Alabama, and they've got very extensive resumes in the industry now. There are certain things, guys, that we have to go outside and hire for, and those are two key positions: the head of processing, the head of cultivation.
And you've hired them
already?
Yes.
Yes, sir. If we get your approval, they are ready to move the state of Alabama and begin. They know we got to start in 45 days.
Okay, and then with regard to time to market, I see where you can get facility up fast and all that, but when do you think you might have product?
Gentlemen, we will have product in the ground growing in 45 days per your recommendations, or 60 days per your requirement, and product it to market in 6 months. So building from scratch, guys, we're building buildings that fit the cannabis industry. We're not taking buildings that fit our financial model. So you cannot retro a building and make it perfect for cannabis. I go to work every day in the perfect cannabis building. I'm gonna build 5 of those. And guys, some of y'all may be doing, how are you gonna build that in 6 months? Guys, these are big empty rooms. I'm building walls, 3 bathrooms, and some security glass. So these are not difficult builds. Tony's a 30-year contractor. We've already been in touch with subs. We will be hitting the ground running, and we'll have our facilities open in 6 months.
Well, yeah, just to clarify though, your original application was anywhere from 182 to 318 days to have a dispensary open.
Yes, well, we have tightened that up. We have worked on that, and we know that's going to be one of the criteria that we have to meet is 6 months, and we can do that.
It's also, if I may add, I think that's also why we went to the containers, the 40-foot containers, because if you're talking about from dirt to build it out of the ground, yes, it was going to take some, and the long-term growth and structures will take that long, but we will have temporary facilities within that 45 days and going.
On the cultivation.
Yeah, but the dispensary side is also what I'm asking.
Yeah, but dispensary, sir, we can build these buildings in 6 months. Okay. And if you ever came to Little Rock and looked at my building, you'd know. Guys, it's just 4 walls and 3 bathrooms and 2 offices. It is a very simple build, especially for construction people. It's a very simple build.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, no problem.
Thank you. Anything else, Dr. Jensen?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioner here or a commissioner online have any questions for natural relief cultivation? You demonstrated a lot of capital or available capital. Would you really be willing to lay all that on the line?
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, we can meet our financial obligations and our time frame.
The worst case scenario, how long do you think you could go with year after year and lose money and still be able to make it?
Nobody likes to lose money, so we go through that phase as fast as possible. But gentlemen, the way y'all set the program up, it's going to take 3+ years to get to profitability, maybe longer. And we're prepared to, that's why we're building from the ground up. We're building for the long term. And we have the money we need to sustain ourselves for 7 years. You required 3. We gave you 7 years of financial information that we can do.
That's what I was going to say. We have run the models, the financial models, through 7 years. And we certainly, that is assuming you to receive any monies or very, very little monies. So we've gone beyond the 3 years. We are prepared and have built an economic model to last over 7 years. And you have that data in our application. And again, that's not just me. I'm a lawyer. I spend money like crazy. But we had accountants come in and certify those numbers.
Okay. All right. Any other commissioner have a question before we dismiss this team? Y'all done a great job. Answered a lot of questions. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Thank you. That's Natural Relief Cultivation and LLC. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Commission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great job. As True Leave Alabama is making their way to the front, we'll prepare to hear your presentation. And as you're coming forward, we'll try to get this one squeezed in before lunch. But Mr. Justin A. Day, any comments related to their application?
This is applicant number 1621, True Leave Alabama Incorporated. You have their full application along with the applicant summary. The applicant submitted a written brief, and you have that in your materials as well. And there were no pass-fail items noted for this applicant.
Thank you, Justin. It's like y'all have a pretty good-sized team.
Yes, we do.
Are you Mr. Powers?
I'm LeBaron Boone.
Okay, LeBaron Boone. All right, Mr. Boone. I'll tell you what, as you have your team come up and help you present, if they do, please introduce each one as they come up, and that will help our reporter take note of such. And I'll have Ms. Peters put your time available up here on the counters. Just watch that as we start with the 45 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is LeBaron Boone, and I'm the co-founder of Sweet Magnolia that partnered with True Leave to form True Leave Alabama, and I'm the president of True Leave Alabama. Now, what's important here today, as each of you all know, because you all have dedicated so much time and energy and great work to make this happen for Alabama. The central question that must be asked is whether what the Darren Wesley Compassion Act compels, and that is for this commission to identify who is best to provide pharmaceutical grade medical cannabis to hundreds of thousands of patients suffering in the shadows where conventional medicine has failed. Wow, that is important responsibility. That decision is critical because medical cannabis is a capital-intensive industry, relying on the expertise of highly trained engineers, doctors, technicians, etc., using high-tech cultivation and processing systems supported by a sophisticated logistics and distribution chain made up of dispensaries that are costly to put together. With that in mind, you, I, we must get it right. And to get it right, you have to look behind the curtains. You look behind the curtain because every applicant has hired a fancy consultant to tell them the right buzzwords, to put their PowerPoint presentations together, and to fill out this application, whether they know what they're doing or not. And each one of them, I'm sure, has said, you can trust us. We promise to make you proud. But you can't. It is too important, and we cannot have Alabama citizens being guinea pigs. So if you're going to pull back and look behind the curtain, not just what we say, but you ought to look at what we do and what we have done. So when you pull back the curtain, the first thing you're going to see is the team, not the promise, not I trust you, like Saban. He recruits the best athletes, and he's the best coach, and he's proven, and he ain't saying, trust me, I can do this. He's done it. Now lean in for a moment and let me tell you the story why we in it for the long haul. And all the numbers you've seen, the partner we have and we partner with is $1 billion cap company, and we got unbelievable sums of wealth to do this, and you'll see why. But lean back and let me tell you the story behind us. Our story was forged in pain, fueled by passion, which ignited our purpose. And that is, one of the co-founders' father was a decorated Vietnam vet. Tour after tour after tour. He came back different. He had PTSD. He was broken. And when pain of a patient is suffering, their family suffered. So we're going to do more than treat a patient. We're going to treat a family. And that founder, once we passed this act, said, we're going to do this for her father. We're in it for the long haul. We're an Alabama team, born in Alabama, raised in Alabama, and going to die in Alabama. And we're going to have the resources, the capital, expertise, and anything you could ask. And she said, our families and friends, your family and friends, are going to be the patients. And those patients deserve the best. This is not the time for guinea pigs. Or people saying, I'm going to cultivate, and trust me, I'm going to be able to do it and figure it out. I'm coming. You got to do it the best. So remember this going through our presentation, 3 Ps, the pain that started this, the passion that ignited our purpose. So I'm going to tell you when I say you look behind the curtain, not what we say, but you need to know the team to see if they can deliver. I'm LeBaron Boone, as I told you all. I'm an engineer from Auburn, industrial engineering on logistics and how to run supply chains is what I did. I ultimately my dad engineering firm sent me to law school at Alabama, and I'm a lawyer and work at one of the largest firms in the nation who's represented this state, Georgia, and states all over America in the opioid crisis. So I know the pain that can come if we don't do this right. I was the president of the local bar association here, Capital City Bar Association. I was president of ALA, all lawyers in the state of Alabama. I was the president of the National Black Lawyers Top 100, that's nationwide, every black lawyer. And I became the president of the National Trial Lawyers Top 100. That's every lawyer in the nation, not Alabama, the nation, governmental, otherwise. I ran Tuskegee Bank. and was the chairman for a short period of time, vice chairman for many years. Ultimately, we got the bank over $100 million, and I was the largest shareholder and an owner. So after that ultimate sale, I was fairly wealthy. I became the largest owner of First Tuskegee Bank after Mr. Wright passed. But maybe my most prominent position is I'm the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, the president and chairman of the Chamber of Commerce here in Montgomery, who, guess what, brought $1.5 billion to this state. I know how to recruit industry, I know how to run industry. $1.5 billion. The governor's on TV saying it, shaking my hand and cutting ribbons with me. The Secretary of Commerce. We expanded Hyundai to over $250 million, and we have the #1 site in the world since I've been on the chamber term, and ultimately now I'm the chamber chairman. CSX noted Montgomery as the #1 site in the nation. We got the #1 site in the nation. Top 5 defense company, city in the nation now under my leadership. I say all that to say is, not to brag about me, but guess what happened with that? When I'm cutting ribbons with the governor, Secretary of State, go to a web page on me in Korea and doing all these things, some people thought I became high profile because they see me on TV, and when they learn that I was interested in the cannabis industry and I was the chairman, they were coming to us anyway about locations, industrial sites, the best sites in the world. All of the prominent companies who want to locate here came to me. But guess what they told me? Those companies who probably been before you and going to come before you, they told me, as they approached me company after company, that because I'm a prominent African American, I just needed to sign my name on the dotted line and they would do the rest. They were certain my reputation would allow them to acquire a license. And they would repeat, sign your name on the dotted line and we'll have the checks coming in the mailbox every month. All the billions you done brought in, LeBaron, the experience in the industry, and what they didn't know though, unbeknownst to them, we had already been putting together well before this because of that pain and passion I spoke about, a team. Long before this. We dreamed of this day because of what my co-founder, Lori Boone, wanted to do because of her father's pain. So when I said pull the curtain back, look at the team. That team is Tony Hollins. Tony Hollins is an Auburn graduate in pharmacy, and we're going to run our operation like a pharmacy. Tony Holland graduated from Auburn, serves on Auburn's advisory board with the pharmacy school. Guess what else? Prominent. They thought I was prominent. Tony Hollins is the first and only Black president of the Alabama Pharmacists Association ever. And still today, nobody else has served. He's been asked to serve on the state pharmacy board and was nominated for that position. Tony demanded we go complete certification testing, and all the owners, me, Tony, and Lori, take a class, a real class, 6-month class, to be certified owners of a cannabis company, integrated. We've done that back in 2022. Many companies hadn't even put their teams together. They're running in front of you all. Next step, though, because when they told us just sign the dotted line, I was a little bit offended and didn't want to partner with anybody after that. We weren't a front group. So we hired a consulting firm to say, how can we do it ourselves? And they asked us what license we were applying for. We told them an integrated license. And there's a spot, and they told us it's a spot for a minority team, and our team is a minority team, fully minority team. And they said, there's a spot for that. So what's your goal? That's what we say. Our goal is to apply a loan. Well, what have you done to make that possible? I told them, we have hired an investment banker to tell us we need about $50 million. Luckily, Tony ultimately served as the chairman of that bank too and was about the 3rd largest shareholder. He came away with a lot of success and wealth as well. So I said we have hired an investment team, investment bankers, an accountant, a corporate lawyer to do all the paperwork, and we've hired a trademark lawyer for that trademark to say, we're running this and doing it. I'm not comfortable with anybody who want me to take a check and use my name. So they said, That is unbelievable. We have never made a local group as prepared as you all are to do this alone, but we want to caution you all. It is a lot of capital, very intensive, knowledge and expertise needed, and you all keep an open mind. They asked us, how are we going to solve the research problem? I know y'all run businesses. She's a lawyer. Lori Boone has worked for the Supreme Court of Alabama, the chief judge for the Northern District and Federal Court. She's a real estate agent and owns a venture capital firm that sometimes give these people money to say they're going to have all this capital. So we had all those people. Tony would run this pharmacy. So I said, guess what? You all thought y'all had us. We got Dr. Carlos Thomas, a renowned graduate from Harvard and Yale who specialized in emergency medicine and family medicine. We got Dr. Ralph Red, Georgia Tech chemical engineer, Emory Medical School, vascular surgeon right here in this community who understands the benefit of medical cannabis. We got Dr. Clayton Yates, John Lewis Endowed Professor of Pathology from Johns Hopkins, taught right there at Tuskegee, friend of me and Tony, who's doing research every day how to do cannabis at the highest level. He heads the Cancer Genetics and Epigenetics Research for Johns Hopkins, one of the most advanced universities in the nation for cancer treatment. That's how we're going to do it, Mr. Consultant. LeBaron is still take expertise and time. If anybody can do it, you all have convinced me you could, but keep an open mind. We have been talking to Trulieve, kind of like a date. They did not say anything about signing online, but they just met us once at Hill office of a really prominent law firm here. Next at another location in Montgomery, next in Auburn, and eventually they invited us to come to their facility, their corporate office in Tallahassee and in Florida. We left that and we were like, wow. They had little robots running around, $1 billion company. They told us they've never met a team anywhere in the nation as prepared as we are. We did not want, this was wrong in my mind, we don't want somebody who's going to just collect the check. And when they heard of my wife, who also is my wife's story, and y'all medical team who can lead us to the next level, they said, we're all in. We want to partner with you all. That led to, ultimately, an agreement. As I told you, we hired corporate lawyers from the beginning. Before we met, we had also had, Mayor Boone is in there, Mayor Boone. We had already bought, I left that part out, I told you, we bought a whole industrial park, bought 102 acres or more, and a building to build and put the facilities in. I'm the chairman of the chamber, so I know the best sites in this state. We've done over $1.7 billion. I meet with the governor's staff, the Secretary of Commerce, and my industrial development department, and we knew that that was the best site. They had water, power, and sewer that everybody talking about. With letters of intent signed, we can do it. That part was built for suppliers of Hyundai. So it was built with the power, with the help of state and other entities. We had the perfect place. And when Trulieve learned that, they told us to go back and come up with a contract. Not only, they didn't ask me to sign a dotted line, they said go back and put together a partnership agreement that reflect Alabama values. And we hired Bradley Aaron right here in Montgomery to put that agreement together that reflected Alabama values, not sign the dotted line and we'll send you a check. Trulieve said, at minimum, it'll cost about $50 million. We got it, you say you got it, but we want on this team, here's the $50 million line of credit, it's right there. Not including what we had prepared to do, spend on our own. They're $1 billion company and say, that's just the beginning. And when I finally talked to my team, Tony, Richard Ford was the absolute key to the team because Richard Ford has worked for the USD. He served as a member of the USDA Farm Agency Committee and represents Walker County, Blount County, and Auburn. He has 40 years of expertise in agriculture and horticulture. Tony knows him. He's our family. He's Tony's family. He's been growing and got greenhouses. Truly, he told us, greenhouses sound good, and many people here are going to tell you how they're going to retrofit one. As good as Mr. Ford is at growing, they said, this is medical grade cannabis, pharmaceutical grade cannabis. We can't do it in the greenhouse, though, LeBaron. That's the only one thing y'all came to us with we won't go with. Greenhouse is not going to get it. So, but Lori sat down and said, LeBaron, this is what the statute says. I know you know we can do it. I believe we can do it. We got the medical people on board. But this is what the statute said, and I'll read it, and she read it to me to make me seal the deal for me and Mr. Holland. The statute requires and favors the applicants, and I'm reading it word from word, who already possesses the requisite skill, expertise, resources, and capital to ensure stability. That's what it says, word for word. We summarized it, got lawyers on the team, including me, word for word. And she said, who can reduce the risk of unlawful diversion. That matters. That's why Tony Hollins is going to run this like a pharmacy and been the president of the Alabama Pharmaceutical Association. So that's when the mayor, she told us, if we really want to help people and make a difference and not let families go through what my family did and suffered, we must do this partnership. And here's the summary of some of the things that made it clear. $50 million off the bat, $1 billion company, $50 million. Here's what we're putting in the pool to make this come to fruition. First, everybody up here has talked about getting to the market. True Leave has been, our partners, our team has been first to the market, first. Florida, West Virginia, and Georgia. So we ain't thinking about it. The theme ought to be pull the curtain back and what have you done? Not what I promised to do. They've done it. True Leave in the last 12 months, our team has served 1.3 million patients. 12 months. That's more than Alabama expect total for a few years. In the last 12 months. Cannabis Business Times, not my words, said True Leave is the largest national retailer in the nation and the most successful. They have 190 dispensaries. We're not hoping we can do this. We're in it for the long haul, the Alabama team, and we know we can do it. 190 dispensaries operating right now today. We ain't guessing we're going to pull this off. And we ain't guessing about the money. That really, with $1 billion company, if you just do the basic research, our consultant told us True Leave is the most impressive company in the nation. And they said, I don't know, maybe True Leave would be mad, the most profitable in the nation. LeBaron, you need to change your mind and partner with somebody. They said they were most profitable, most successful, and the National Cannabis Business Times said the largest in the nation. They have 4 million square feet of cultivating and facilities going right now today. We ain't gonna figure out how to grow it. I'm not coming out of retirement to grow it. I'm a CEO and ran a bank, ran a law firm, and ran the chamber that did over 1.5 billion and over 3 billion in the last 5 years. And we're gonna do billions more. We have a patient hotline. You need help, we meet you right there. We have 24 hours a day surveillance to make sure there's no unlawful diversion. Top-notch security and state-of-the-art technology with robots running around here. And I was an industrial engineer, and that's what I did. And I'm like impressed, like, whoa, time has passed me as an industrial engineer. I guess I'm practicing too much law. Now, patients are depending on us to get this right. Alabama citizens don't need to be guinea pigs. It's about who's done it, not just who hoping and what you can pull off. I've given you some of the basic statistics. So back to it, and I say it's not what you say, but what you've done. Now, I want to pull the curtains back, like I said. So let's pull the curtain back on finance. I want to introduce Eric Powers. He's Chief Legal Advisor and in the executive team, the small 3-room, 4-room meetings. The head of True Leave, Executive Eric Powers. why don't you talk a little bit about finances for us and what this True Leave is willing to do to make sure this venture works? Not hoping it works, what we gonna do?
Thanks, LeBaron. Thank you guys for letting us speak today. I'm Eric Powers. I was born, raised, and spent most of my life here in Alabama. I grew up in Forestdale. It's a town northwest of Birmingham. Went to Minor High School. After graduating there, I attended Auburn University, where I met my wife. Many of our family members also attended Auburn, including our 3 children. My son is a graduate. My daughters are both there now. Following graduating Auburn, I attended University of Alabama School of Law and started my practice here in Alabama with Capel and Howard in Montgomery. Joined True Leave in 2019. I currently serve as the Chief Legal Officer. We were founded and are still based in the Panhandle of Florida in the Tallahassee area. And we are the most financially viable publicly traded cannabis company in the world. And more on that in a bit. By partnering with Sweet Magnolia, we really believe we can bring benefit to Alabama, that we can bring the medicine that the patients here need. And I think it's going to be a successful partnership should we receive a license. With that, I'll introduce Les Alexander and Kathleen Moffitt from JS Held, who can go a little bit more in detail of our finances. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commission. So my name's Les Alexander. I'm a CPA. I'm a former PricewaterhouseCoopers partner. I also founded my own financial advisory consulting business over 20 years ago, which was sold the first day of this year to JS Held, which is an international consulting business. I was charged, and Kathleen and I were charged with looking at the financial stability of True Leave, examining that, and then based on SEC filings and other public documents, and then reporting to the commission what we found. And with that, I'd like to have Kathleen introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kathleen McKee Moffitt, and I'm a Senior Vice President with JS Held. I got my master's in finance from the University of Alabama, and I've now been a financial consultant for about 8.5 years. I do lots of analyses across multiple industries, including the pharmaceutical industry. You know, one of the advantages to truly being a public company for the commission is that there's a lot of transparent reporting. They have a lot of, guidelines that they have to follow, and all of their financial information is publicly available. So what we looked at was kind of the information that's publicly available to everybody. And one of the things that I focused on is that True Leave has significant equity analyst coverage. So after their third quarter earnings reports, 12 analysts reported on that, and all of them were positive and recommended to buy. And some of the comments that were within the reports is that they have strong balance sheets, strong EBITDA, strong cash flow, which Les is going to expand on now.
So I've been involved with a lot of startup businesses, analyzing their ability to succeed financially. And I call it staying power, the ability to weather the startup period. Clearly, this is a startup industry in Alabama, but also clearly True Leave is not a startup. So looking at the information, here's some high points. I have 3, I think, significant findings on their financial stability. First of all, as of September 30th, 2023, they had $192 million of free cash, unrestricted cash on their balance sheet. 2, cumulatively from 2020, their cash flow from operations has been positive, and it's generated over $205 million of positive cash flow. In the quarter ending 9/30/23, they've generated $70 million of positive cash flow. That $192 million of cash on hand, that is after prepaying $50 million in debt last September. And then also as of December 1st, they also prepaid another $130 million in debt, plus $6 million in interest. And with that, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
The wealth and success that we had as a group with the Cello Bank and me being blessed and my team being blessed and Mr. Ford having his own greenhouses put us in a unique position, our consultant said, but when they said if we had a partner that you could pick and dial up would be True Leave, and I know you got this bad taste in your mouth, LeBaron. And I said, guess what? We've been dating, and eventually, as I told you, we married. One of the other things I want you to see behind the curtains about how this is really done and what it takes. 4 million square feet they are running today, 190 dispensaries. Let's look further behind the curtain, not just what I say, but what's been done. I want to introduce Jim Warnick over state expansion, and he basically lives with me now, but he's over site selection and how to get one of these operations up and running.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. My name is Jim Warnick. I'm Executive Director of State Expansion for True Leaf. I'm just going to touch on 2 brief points today. One, first, is relationships are important to us. We have a team already who have developed relationships with organizations throughout the state, and we know that our licensing team members have spent years in educating physicians and patients in other states. We're bringing that expertise to Alabama, and we've already begun that. Second thing, one of my roles at True Leaf is site selection for our cultivation production facilities. LeBaron touched on it earlier, but before LeBaron and I met, I traveled from Dothan all the way to Athens and Huntsville, all the way west to Demopolis, and met with some amazing mayors and city council economic directors in these cities. But it was not until LeBaron introduced me to Fort Deposit and Mayor Boone, who I want to thank you for coming today. And I do want to say Mayor Boone is no relation to LeBaron Boone, just make that point clear. But it wasn't until I met her that real connection was sparked. And I remember at our first meeting, she spoke about her time in Fort Deposit, her goals for the city, and her passion for providing children with better recreational facilities. And it was at that moment I knew that we'd be a perfect fit for this great partner in this great city. So I've met with many local officials in Fort Deposit, police and fire personnel, and everyone is equally excited about us coming to the area. So when looking for sites, LeBaron touched on it briefly, but we have 3 main criteria. First is the zoning and the utility letters. We have will serve letters received from Alabama Power, Southeast Gas. We have water and sewer verification from Fort Deposit. Second thing, the site has to fit with our corporate model of serving a rural and in majority minority communities, which is similar to our first facility in Florida, which we still operate today in Quincy. We've had an amazing economic impact with residents there over the years. And third is that we want positive relationships with the local entities. We know this is a long-term relationship, and I so appreciate Fort Deposit opening their arms for us. Last thing is we've hired a civil engineer who's local, Engineer Solutions owned by Glenn McCord. He helped us with our due diligence on the project. He has already prepared our phase 1 site plan, which was in our application. And once our license is issued, we're ready to comply with all statutory guidelines and to exceed them. And quickly and lastly, for our application, we submitted a phase 1 plan for 47,000 square foot existing building renovation. We have the location of our growing pods on the site plan. We provided civil and architectural plans for the renovation, and we also provided a phase 2 expansion plan as the market allows. Lastly, we have an in-house construction management team with True Leaf that supervises all design and planning needs for our building and sites to ensure our high-quality standards and construction goals. We are confident that we can meet Alabama's guidelines for construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We've done it, and we're hoping we can do it. They've done it, and first to the market in Georgia, if you all know, just got passed right before Alabama, and they are already in the market and spent $30 million just to get the startup. So it is a capital-intensive business, but we got well more than enough. It don't matter if it takes 10 years or 20 years, we got the resources to do it. Give me a year with $1 billion company, and what we brought today, we got the wealth to stand it, and we know it's going to take 3 to 5 years. Now let's open up some more curtains, because I want to be able to close one before the end. Next, I want to briefly bring up our Chief Production Officer. I don't want to tell you to trust me like I tell you, you shouldn't trust nobody. Look behind the curtain. Kyle, why don't you come on up and talk to us about the high-tech process and all these robots as an industrial engineer and what I did when I saw this. I didn't know the world had changed so much. So just give us a brief view.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having us in. As Mr. LeBaron mentioned, my name is Kyle Landrum. I'm the Chief Production Officer for TrueLeaf. What that means is I get to oversee all of the cultivation, processing, R&D, facilities, maintenance and engineering, and supply chain divisions, in addition to the construction and expansion. So I've got a very large team of folks now. It's about 2,300 total nationwide. So I just don't get to grow the plants, which is what I originally started with TrueLeaf 6+ years ago to do. I also now get to design the facilities and then also build them. So if anybody's familiar with the cannabis plants, everybody knows that they're a super accumulator. So they like to grab all of the different heavy metals that have been discussed today, different compounds that you might not want. What our people would consider sometimes to say that maybe our practices are extreme to keep those out of the plants, but at the end of the day, it's people's medicine that they rely on, that are going to be relying on for a improved, quality of life, if you will. So at TrueLeaf, one of our foundational pieces is to grow the plants indoors and inside where they can become free of pests and free of contaminants. I've had the privilege of building these in several different states. Currently operate 15+ facilities across 7 different states now. And I can say that, we can grow some of the healthiest plants inside of North America, and that plan's not going to be any different in the state of Alabama as well. We even take it a little bit further. So it's not just where the plants grow, but it's actually what you produce or put into the plant as an input as well. So currently we manufacture all of our own nutrients that we feed the plants. That's all done in-house. Before those products are ever applied to the plant, we're able to lab test and verify that they're pure, and then they can get delivered onto the network of the, I think I counted yesterday, not myself personally, but I've got around about half a million cannabis plants growing right now today. So they're alive and well and doing great in some of our other assets across the states. So Jim mentioned a little bit about the site that we've identified. We're going to utilize the approach of bringing in one of the grow pods that I actually currently own right now and that are sitting on the sites in Adel, Georgia. What that'll allow us to do is to be able to meet the required timeline to be able to actually produce the products or grow the plants to produce the products to be able to deliver the patients in a timely manner. LeBaron says, he's taught me this, that hope is not a strategy. Fully agree. In Georgia recently, we've actually been able to do this and prove that we can. Within 63 days of the pod being initiated and turned on, I had product and material to actually start refining into finished products. And then after the 63 days, another 22 days went by, and then I had a finished product. So sub 100 days is what it took us in Georgia to be able to actually bring that product in, and we beat our competition by 5+ months in that particular state of getting the medicine to the patients that were needed. Let's see, let's just follow up real quick. Yeah, just to kind of finish up, every year the teams cultivate and harvest and extract, and process millions of plants and finish good products. That's going to be no different in the state of Alabama, and we'd be proud to be able to bring those products to market and to the great citizens of the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, finally, I'm going to open the curtain that usually, as you saw, we were bringing TrueLeaf insiders. I'm not going to bring insiders. Tony Hollins was our president of the Alabama Pharmacy Association, and he's going to make sure patients are first, and we do this right, and they care so that my wife, which she went through, won't happen to others. Tony, come up and pull that curtain back for us, but I want a hometown grown Alabama boy to make sure our patients going to be taken care of.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boone. Appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us and giving an opportunity to speak on this subject. I want to say that as a pharmacist in the state of Alabama for over 40 years, I've had an opportunity to have a positive impact on the lives of people and what we say to change their lives. I learned about the state's intention to establish the medical cannabis program, and I wanted to be involved. I've had the opportunity firsthand at corporate levels to observe when corporate interests may want to violate the ethical code that I have taken and sworn to uphold to treat the people, to help change lives. We've seen what the opioid crisis can do. I pledge to you that we will not be a team that will facilitate an opioid crisis. We want safe medical cannabis for the patients in Alabama. Again, highlighting our strengths in the areas of what we have already done, not what we're going to do. As of September of this year, we operate over 190 facilities as far as dispensaries are concerned, and X number of 21 maybe of cultivators and processing facilities. That's what we're doing, not what we're going to do. We've employed over 5,600 people in communities that we serve. Again, some may talk about what they're going to do. This is what we've done. We have put high quality standards into place for the practice and quality and efficient cultivation that we're going to provide to the citizens in the state of Alabama. Guess what? Our team right now has an in-house call center. I'm gonna pick up this phone. I'm gonna tell you, you can call right now to get services that you need and questions answered by the patients, the physicians, the healthcare providers. You can pick up the phone right now and call to get that kind of assistance. We're talking about what we can do already, not what we're going to do. Physicians, healthcare providers. In our culture, we put our patients first. That's who we serve. We do not operate just to take from those that we serve. We operate with the fundamental purpose to give back to those that we serve. Every day in the ecosystem of the medical cannabis world, why do we exist? I'm asking you again, why do we exist? We exist because of the patients. That's what you pledged to do in the state of Alabama, is to exist because of the patients. We exist because of the lives we have an opportunity to change every day. You can be the best processor, you can be the best cultivator, you can be the best transporter, the best lab, the best dispensary. But inside that circle, why do we exist? For the patient. In the words of Stephen Covey, he coined this phrase years ago: the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Our team knows we must keep the patient front and center. Our team knows the importance of this patient relationship and is focused on maintaining that relationship. We want our patients to trust us in the relationships that we have. You want them to trust you in the decisions that you make. How do we do this? We do it each day, one patient at a time. That's what we're doing now. That's what we're going to continue to do. This year alone, we've served, in the past year, 1.3 million. That's 1,300,000 people have come through the doors of the dispensaries that we operate, and we want to operate throughout Alabama in Athens, Birmingham, Montgomery, Dothan, Mobile locations. We have a dedicated team of about 3,600 people to the dispensaries operations throughout these several states that we operate in. That's 2/3 of the work team. That means that we're dedicated to what? Serving those patients that come through those doors in those dispensaries. We provide quality medical cannabis to meet the needs of our patients. We strive to provide a positive experience throughout our patients' medical cannabis journey, and we do that by education. Education of the patients, education of the physicians and the communities that we serve. We do it every day, and we're doing it again right now in our dispensaries. We have some team members here. I'm turning just for a moment, Dr. Terrell Newton, related to Cam Newton. You know that guy that got that Heisman Trophy. But anyway, Terrell Newton is on our medical advisory team. He's here with us today. But I'm highlighting the fact that we have patients and physicians that we're going to educate, already educating, to help us to meet the needs of the people of Alabama. With that in mind, I'd like to turn it over back to Mr. Cohen.
Don't go anywhere, Ms. Holland, because that's too important to this team, serving the people. I just wanted to add, and I'm going to let you close. You've changed my mind on how to close, because what you've said is what it's all about. So the important piece here is I just want to give one quick note on the relationships. We have a relationship with the University of Alabama and their neuroscience department, an MOU for research. We got the best team inside. With the team I told you at Johns Hopkins outside, but we partnered with the University of Alabama. We partnered with Stillman College. MOU's in place. We partnered with Miles College. We partnered with for research with Tuskegee. We partnered with research with ASU, Alabama State University, and we have many more relationships. We have over 100 letters of support. We're the only group, I believe, who has, and I'm pretty sure, the Pharmaceutical Association, which is the Alabama Pharmacy Association, has given us a letter of support. We have letter supports of chambers throughout this community, over 100 letters of support already in place in some of the most prominent organizations that I told you about. We have a letter of support from all black mayors in the state of Alabama. That is done. Don't want to waste the time, because what he's talking about is way more important than this, but you can read who our relationships with, and I guarantee you nobody has the relationships we have and the depth of them, from hospitals to nursing homes to universities. But you ought to close, because that's the most important thing to patients.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. I appreciate that. I want to say in closing that there are an estimated 377,000 veterans in Alabama who have sacrificed in this state and this country. They should have the basic freedom to enjoy a quality of life and medical treatment afforded by others. Our team can make this a reality. We would like the opportunity to do so in Alabama. We have the team that can do it. We're Alabama grown. We know the state because we grew up here. Alabama is our family, and we know we want to take care of our family. I want to make a special note at this time. Ms. Lori Boone, our co-founder, she could not be up here right now because we didn't say that she would be as a presenter. But I want to deliver a story to you that's very important to the hearts and minds of what this program is about. Her father was a Vietnam veteran. He served in Vietnam, combat. He served on a helicopter. He flew out in missions every day in Vietnam. On several days, he flew more than one mission. He might have flown 3, but the outstanding Medal and Purple Heart that he was given was associated with 9 missions that he flew in one day in 24 hours to save those people that he loved. Now, the sad part associated that with he came back to this country that he had so graciously served. He had to suffer with PTSD. We didn't have anything to treat it at that time. We know we have something now that can change the families in the state of Alabama. I'm glad that she's allowing us to share that story with you, to drive home the fact that this is about patients and families and communities that we can help save. We can change lives. That's what we're about. That's what you're about. We think you're the best team that can do it. In the sports analogy, we're at the goal line. We're ready to take it in for a touchdown for the citizens in the state of Alabama. We've been transparent in our plays that we've called. We're asking you to give us an opportunity to do the job. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Mr. Boone, appreciate y'all being here today, and we've got a great team. But before you dismiss, I'm going to ask any commission member if you have a question for this team. True Leave Alabama Incorporated. Anybody got a question
First,
these
I have a
folks. Yes,
question for the
yes, Dr.
commission
Jensen.
staff. I assume it's a typo that it says the ownership doesn't add up to 100%, so I assume that 5.1 is 51%?
And the applicant may want to address this, but I believe that the, what was disclosed and what it adds up to is what was required by the statute. The statute requires if there is a publicly traded company that's an owner, then only those individuals who own more than 5% of that publicly traded company have to be individually disclosed. But they may want to verify me on that is the structure.
That is correct.
Anything else, Dr. Jensen?
Well, I'm still not clear on that, but
so
later.
Let Justin
truly
say a little more.
And I want to make sure that I get
Well, it says it's minority, but I can't tell out of this unless all these are just the minority.
And they can tell you who the minority individuals are, but TrueLeave, and I want to get the entity name right, so y'all help me. TrueLeave, well, not the applicant, but TrueLeave, the parent company that is one entity owner.
Yeah, correct. The parent company is TrueLeave Cannabis Corp. That's the publicly traded company. TrueLeave Alabama is owned by a U.S. holding company. There's only one 5% owner. It's one of our founders, Kim Rivers, who's our current CEO.
And the minority group, which was Sweet Magnolia, owns 51% of the company.
Would you mind repeating that in the mic just for the...
Yes, and Sweet Magnolia is owned by the minority group. Me, Tony Holland, Lori Boone, and Mr. Ford owns 51% of the company.
So once again, on the disclosures of the individuals and why that doesn't add up to 100%. So TrueLeave, remind me again of TrueLeave Cannabis Corp.
Yes.
TrueLeave Cannabis Corp is a publicly traded company, and the only individuals of that publicly traded company that have to be disclosed pursuant to the statute are those who own 5% or more.
No, that's fine. I'm just zeroing in on the minority. So Mr. Boone, Mr. Holland, and who else is
Mr. Ford and Mr. Ralph and Dr. Ralph Red. And that the key is, I think, for the statute purposes, to make sure it's driven on. We own 51% of the company.
All righty. Thank you. So will you have pharmacists at each location? Did you say that?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Look, I'm a owner, co-founder of this company. It would be nowhere in the world where we would not have pharmacists associated with our dispensaries. That's a given. We believe that we can help deliver the best quality care in the state of Alabama. I mean, in some of the other states that our team operates in right now, we have pharmacists there as well that operate in the dispensary. So the answer is yes. We're going to operate it like a pharmacy, and we're going to deliver quality care for the patients and the citizens of Alabama. We're going to do the job. I wouldn't be here standing here telling you that if we weren't. Thank you for the question, though.
And also, you said you can have cultivation facilities ready in 14 days. So does that mean within a couple, 3 months after the 14 days, you'll have biomass available to process?
Absolutely. Yes. Seed will be in the ground in 14 days through the pods. We have a really high-tech pod system that has happened in 3 states. We've been first to the market. And Kyle, if you want to, I'll go in more detail. But seed will be in the ground, and like you said, within 3 months, we'll be producing product.
Yes, that's correct. So once the pod becomes operational, I think we said we'd transport it within 14 days. Like I said, I already own the pods. I've got the power specs, the engineering requirements, so on and so forth. It's already completed. We would subsequently plant the pods, and then we would be harvesting within 65 days-ish. And then from there, we would move into the extraction and processing phase. Yeah.
So I'm confused on the pods. The pods are what exactly?
So they're a modular cube that houses dehumidification, all your lighting, your cooling, and then you basically bring in, set on a pad, hook your services up, and then you're able to start cultivating plants.
Is that permanent, or is that just?
It would be a temporary solution as we build out phase 2 inside of the building, but this would allow us to be able to bring the crop to full term to be able to harvest, and then subsequently make make products for the folks of Alabama quicker. So it was a tactic that we used in Georgia most recently.
It makes sense. We have some other people mentioning.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Then as far as the dispensing sites, they are all going to be built from the ground up?
We currently have leases on the locations that we're talking about now. There are current buildings that are there. We retrofitted. We have a...
okay. Retrofitted.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. But they will be state-of-the-art. And we have that, because we have repeat businesses throughout our country and teams that we're serving these individuals and patients. They wouldn't keep coming back if you just had a shack set out there to serve them. So we have quality dispensaries that will be ready to serve the patients of Alabama.
And so finally, has True Leaf, the big company, had any regulatory issues in any of the states? I guess Florida's kind of their home turf, but in any state?
Yeah, Florida is our home turf. But yeah, we do operate in 9 states. We have good relationship with all of our regulators and have worked out any issues. We've never had anything that would impact any of our licenses.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to just add, my firm represents the state of Alabama and the state of Georgia in the opioid crisis. I vet companies every day. I represent the states in the opioid crisis, hospitals, cities, and municipalities. And I can assure you, the last person you want to do something around is me, who is a lawyer, and that's my job every day. So what he said is 100% accurate, and that's something I looked at everybody's eyes and ensured that's what we were going to do.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Anyone else? Any of our commissioners online have a question?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Sam Blakemore. Mr. Holland, can you speak about any patient assistance programs you might have for people in the community? I know you guys did gave us some information about veterans. Are you guys going to offer any assistance to veterans regarding price?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the question. We do. We have a program in place now. Again, this is something that we're doing, not talking about doing. We do offer programs for veterans that will be served with medical cannabis, and we're doing that right now in other locations. So the answer is yes, and we're there to, to meet you where you are. We want to serve the patients, and I appreciate that question, but the answer is yes, we do have programs in place. Thank you.
Like Dr. Newton is here to further elaborate, who works in that area.
Hello, I'm Dr. Terrell Newton. I'm also a member of the medical team. I'm a board-certified anesthesiologist and interventional pain physician with over 10 years of practice experience. I've been doing recommendations for patients for 7 years, and I've been the medical director at True Leaf of Florida for 2 years. We heavily support veterans, and I will mention a few events that we've even supported this year. The Paralyzed Veterans Association, which is a national organization, and I actually spoke at that event and presented some research there, and the Disabled Veterans Association, which I personally and some of our community educators, we go out to help veterans and support different community events that's there right there at the Veterans Association. So like food drives and different events that our community educators actively support in today.
Thank you, sir. That was Dr. Sam Blakemore with that question, our pharmacist.
And one thing I believe would be just extraordinary is Father Walters handle people, including if it's a veteran or not, who are catastrophically injured. Nobody probably has the support of Father Manuel, Resurrection Catholic Church, and they ran Father Walters for many years, and we have relationships with them, and they support our group as well in the things we do for outreach to the community. And he's at the back of the audience, Father Manuel Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Anyone else have a question? Any of our other commissioners online? Dr. Blakemore, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Anyone else?
One more.
Yes, Dr. Jensen.
Cost? We always like to know what's the bottom line here. As best as you can answer.
Well, I want to say two quick answers on cost. One, I would say, is saving the patient's time to go through multiple types of medications. So we do a lot of community education so the patients are not having as much trial and error. And we also do education for physicians. So we have webinars where physicians will come on and we'll talk about different research projects. We have a lot of veterans discounts. We have first-time patient discounts. And In many states, we have discounts for the actual card where the patient will get a discount when they first get their card as well. In general, I would say in the course of a month, many patients get by very well with $100 to $250 in that range, depending on how many medications, how many types of medicines they need, and how often that they take it. So there's a huge cost savings compared to insurance and deductibles.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Great questions. Anyone else? Well, thank you, Mr. Moon, and all your team. Great presentation from TrueLeaf. Thank you for your time today, and all that team for showing up today. And I want to ask for our commission and staff to retire back here to the back for a quick lunch break, and we'll be back here. We'll try to start around 1 o'clock.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.